You eat clean, you train hard, you try to get good sleep, you've literally done everything that they told you. And still the first thing you see in the morning is a new breakout on your skin and it's looking like a complete mess. And this isn't even the worst part. It feels like your brain isn't operating as it should. You eat a meal and get tired afterwards, you get energy crashes during the day, you try to concentrate and get deep work done, but you get easily distracted, you go grab something or you have appointments scheduled up and you just forget about them or forget what you were gonna get. But nobody seems to understand you because they eat junk food, they eat McDonald's, and they seem completely fine. You've been to dermatologists, nutritionists, you tried skincare products, supplements, probiotics, and even medication. You've cut out dairy, sugar, gluten, tried a whole foods diet, maybe even a carnivore diet, and none of it worked because the problem would always come back. If this is you, this video is going to completely change your life. I've spent over $2,000 on skincare products, dermatologists, and tried all the elimination diets possible. And I'd be always left stuck in the same position of entering the bathroom with my head down to avoid seeing any mirrors and seeing my skin because I'd just be super insecure about it. I'd cancel and avoid social events, avoid making content and inspiring other people because I was insecure about the way I look and I didn't want to post myself out there. Now the difference between me and a doctor or an influencer is that I am in this with you. If I sleep, I will feel it in my body and in my skin, and I know how much this costs you mentally and socially, in the gym, in your work, and this is actually the reason why I've found what works. I honestly cannot put into words the amount of time, money, and obsession that went into building what I'm about to share with you. I've invested over $10,000 across health coaches and programs to get this level of understanding. I spent months filming and compiling everything into one place, and this free video contains the exact framework that has helped me to stop breaking out, restore my energy, fix my digestion, and allow me to actually build muscle at the same time. This is by far the most complete guide you will find anywhere on fixing acne, brain fog, and low energy from the root cause. And here's the thing nobody told me for 4 years, and this is the insight that changed everything. The reason eating clean wasn't working wasn't because I wasn't disciplined enough. And it wasn't the wrong foods neither. It goes all the way down to your cells, your mitochondria. The energy factory is inside every cell in your body. And when your mitochondria is broken, it doesn't matter how clean you eat. Your cells cannot produce energy properly. They cannot clear inflammation, regulate your hormones, so you keep breaking out, you keep crashing, not because you're doing it wrong, but because the engine itself is damaged. And this is why dermatologists fail you, man. Because they treat the skin. Elimination diets change the fuel, but nobody is fixing the engine. And that is exactly the reason everything you've tried has worked temporarily, but then stopped working and you never fix the issue. So what exactly fixes mitochondrial dysfunction? It's not another supplement, another elimination diet. It comes down to 3 things that nobody in this health space talks about. First, your light environment. Your mitochondria are designed to run on specific frequencies of natural light. When you spend your days under artificial light, inside, you're not watching the sunrise, the sunset, you are misleading your circadian rhythm. And your mitochondria runs on the circadian rhythm. If that is messed up, the mitochondria will be messed up. Second, metabolic water. When your mitochondria are working properly and burning fat for fuel, they actually produce their own structured water from the inside. When this process is disrupted, your cells are dehydrated in a way that drinking more water will not help. Third, EMF exposure. Electromagnetic fields that are man-made directly interfere with mitochondrial function and drives the inflammation that shows up on your skin. Fix these 3 things alongside with the right nutritional protocol and your body starts working the right way it was designed to, man. The acne clears, you no longer get brain fog, you have good energy all day. And this isn't because you tried harder, but because you finally fixed the root cause. And this isn't just my own results. My man Howie had been breaking out for 4 years despite eating cleaner than everybody he knew. In 3 months inside the program, he got clear skin and no more breakout. My client Ricardo is a high performer entrepreneur, is constantly working, traveling, but acne was stopping him from posting content online, meeting other entrepreneurs and networking. And as he joined the program, we fixed his health issues, and just like that, he's meeting other high-level entrepreneurs and he's scaling his business. Raul was coming from work drained with brain fog, too fatigued to train. In a few weeks of joining the program, we fixed his energy issues and he has now built the physique that he had been chasing for years. These are real people who had already tried everything before finding this. What changed for them wasn't trying harder, it was finally having the right map. In this video, you're going to learn my 4-phase protocol. Phase 1. removing every trigger that is actually destroying your mitochondrial function so your body can stop fighting and actually start healing. Phase 2, becoming fat adapted so your energy stabilizes, your cells start producing metabolic water, and your inflammation drops on its own. Phase 3, rebuilding your mite environment and reducing EMF exposure so your mitochondria can regenerate properly. Phase 4, once your body is working the right way, as it should, we build an aesthetic physique on top. Now, if you are looking for a 5-step skincare routine or a list of supplements to add to your current diet, this isn't for you. This video is not going to give you another thin layer on top of what's not working. But if you are done with, hiding the symptoms, if you're ready to actually understand what's the root cause and end it for good, then you are in the right place. Because the people who take this seriously and actually implement it do not have the same problems 6 months from now. Now, I didn't figure this out because I have a medical degree. I figured this out because I had no choice. Because the people with medical degrees couldn't help me. For 4 years I struggled, and in these 4 years I became extremely obsessed to make sure that nobody else struggles with this ever again. That's my mission. And so please, man, watch this video with your fullest attention, pick a pen and a paper and watch it as if you had paid $2,000 for this. Because this is what it can be worth if you actually apply yourself. And if you know anybody else struggling with this, please share it to them so that we can actually end acne forever and make sure nobody else struggles with this. Acne, brain fog, low energy, gut issues. Nobody deserves that, man. Every human deserves to be healthy so they can pursue their highest purpose, their mission, without any constraints. Now, enjoy the guide, my friend. What if I told you that the answer to get clear skin, high energy, good digestion was always in front of your eyes, man? You tried all these diets in the world. Carnivore, more fiber, less sugar. You tried everything. And all these skincares, all these pills from the dermatologist, none of it worked, man. And you watched all these reels and all these YouTube videos on how to be healthier, how to get clear skin, and none of it worked. And what if I told you that the answer was literally right in front of you, man? Right in front of you. Right now, as you're watching this video, what's the thing that's in front of you? Okay, this video? No, but you're watching this video on what? On a computer or on a phone? What if I told you that the light coming from your phone is damaging you so much that it's literally causing you acne? And so that's what we're gonna get into this in this module is light is foundational. Okay, how does light play a role in our health and how is this related with clear skin, high energy, good digestion? That's what we're gonna go through right here, man. Okay, so light is foundational. So you need to understand that you might be doing all the good diets, the exercise every day, eating healthier than everybody, but if you have a bad light environment, none of it, none of this will work, okay? And do you know that rule of 20% of the actions bring 80% of the results? What if I told you that it was about fixing your light environment? 20% of the actions which will give you 80% of the results is fixing your light environment, man. And this is the butterfly effect right here, okay? What is the butterfly effect? It's when a little butterfly is just flying around, and just like that, because of the wind that the butterfly caused, it made a full I don't know how to say in English, man, I forgot. A tornado, yes, a tornado on the other side of the world. What if I told you that with your health, it's the exact same thing? So if something is off with your health, it will literally cause a full butterfly effect. By you having bad posture, fix your posture right now, man. By you having bad posture, it can lead to neurodegeneration. By you breathing through your mouth at night without being aware of this, it can cause you to literally have a terrible look, man. You get a recessed jawline because you were always breathing like this since you were a child, and you just look so ugly, man. And it's the butterfly effect. Something as simple as breathing through your mouth can have such an impact on your looks. And so if one thing is off, man, even though you're eating a good diet, eating carnivore, eating whole foods, you might be eating vocally and everything, you're meditating, you're training hard every day, but if you're doing something wrong, like eating late at night under artificial lights. Just like that, you're wrecking yourself and you're not allowing you to fully recover and achieve clear skin, high energy, good digestion, the things you want, of course. And so here is the three-step health formula, because I want to teach you this to you so you can apply this in any situation, not only in your health, but also in any area of your life, with relationships, with financial, building a business, with developing yourself physically, spiritually, anything this formula can be applied in. So, first of all, you need to understand. You need to understand how something is harmful to you. Because if you don't understand, you will never want to make a change. As a child, you used to eat candy all day, you used to eat chocolates because you didn't understand how bad it was for you. Then you understood how unhealthy it is because you got acne, you got brain fog, all these issues, and you realize, oh, something must change. You understood that something was wrong. Or you started watching porn as a child. You didn't knew it was bad for you. Then you understood it was bad and you tried to quit. And just like that, that's the first step, is understanding. Because you will not make an effort to change if you simply don't understand the negative side effects that that thing is bringing it to your life. And a lot of the times, you only know how shit you feel once you stop feeling like shit. So you might think that, I'm struggling with acne, brain fog, and I'm eating healthy. What's going on? Like all these people, they're eating junk. They don't even know what brain fog is. When I mention that, they laugh at me like they think I'm a weirdo with brain fog. That's not even real in their head. Just like that, they don't understand what it's like to have good mental sharpness because they've never really experienced. They've always lived a shit life, never trained, always ate junk food, always under artificial light, scrolling, destroying their dopamine. Just like that, they don't know what it's actually to feel good. So they'll never understand. And that's why it's very hard to try to teach these things to people, to your family members, to your friends, which you can only help somebody if they want help. And if they don't understand on their own, it's very hard to make them realize that. So that's the first step, is understand. Then the next step is eliminate. Eliminate anything that is bad and that is, wrecking you. If you don't eliminate and you start adding new things, new habits, you're literally not going to see the progress of the good habits because you have the bad habits still slowing your progress, still, you know, slowing you down. Like you make some progress and you don't come back. You make some progress, come back. Pam, 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 and you never progress, man. This is why for years you can be eating healthy. You can be doing all the healthy habits, but if you have bad habits still, and perhaps you cope and you say, "Oh, it's not a big deal." That's why it feels like after 1 year of being locked in, your life looks the same. That's exactly why. And then you need to replace. So it's a lot easier to, instead of eliminating like a bad habit of jerking off, you replace that with going on a walk and meditating and reading a book. You replace the bad habits with the new good ones. That's what you do. So this is the three-step health formula that you must always have in your mind. Then you need to experiment and don't isolate health practices. Okay, so we don't have the same altitude, the same genetics, the same light, the same skin color, the same water, the same food source. The way I walk is different than yours. And so, just like that, is it fair to say that if I try a certain diet, oh, it didn't work for me, this diet is terrible for health, nobody should ever do this? Is it fair to say that? Or somebody that can be on the other side of the world with different genetics, different skin color, different water source, different food source, they can try the same diet and see results. So I can't just make these general assumptions. But guess what? That's what you see online all day. People are just throwing their assumptions on social media, like posting a video. Oh, don't try this diet. I tried it and it was terrible. Yes, but what were the other factors involved? Perhaps you were under artificial light all day. Perhaps you weren't doing cold exposure, which was something you should have done in your country region. Whatever it is, okay? There will be many factors to this. And so you need to understand environment is everything that affects your health. So any stimulus that affects your health, everything you think, hear, the food you eat, the light that's around you, even coming from a window, it's still gonna be affecting you. You cutting your nails, that is the environment. Everything outside of you that is affecting your health, it is environment. Okay? So, a question like, should I drink raw A2 dairy? That's a very common question because, a lot of people claim that it makes you grow taller and everything. So the truth is, it depends. Some do well with it and some don't. So you gotta experiment and see if you have issues with it or not. If you try it and you got improvements and you got no issues, then keep having it. But if you get acne, diarrhea, all these issues, then it clearly shouldn't be something you should be eating. But because you see all these videos online telling you to drink, oh, drink A2 raw dairy, you're gonna literally force yourself to keep drinking it, and you're gonna keep having issues like acne and stool issues, and you're gonna tell yourself, oh, this is actually good for me. My body is detoxing. It's detoxing from harmful toxins in my body, so this is actually helping me. When it's not, because you only got these symptoms after you started drinking raw A2 dairy. As an example here, you only started having these symptoms after. So the issues are coming from the new thing you just added. It isn't some magical detox, man. Okay? It isn't. Those are two different things. And so health advice is completely subjective. For example, somebody eats rice, okay? And this person is like a bodybuilder. Their goal is to become Mr. Olympia, build as much muscle as possible, get a good pump in the gym. They're gonna have this rice, and since they just went training, the rice helped them out with some quick, carb fuel to get a good pump. And they're gonna tell you, man, rice is the best thing in the world. God damn it. You always gotta eat some rice after your workouts for the anabolic insulin spike, man. Oh my god, it's amazing to build muscle. While on the other hand, somebody that is prone to having acne, they eat the rice, and just like that, they get a lot of sebum production due to the insulin spikes, and they get acne. And so you see how it's total different realities. This guy, because his happiness comes from the gym, is gonna say the rice is the best thing in the world. While this person, their happiness is gonna come from like having good skin. Nobody wants acne, man. So they see acne and they're gonna say, "Man, rice caused me this. This is terrible for me. Rice is terrible." So just like that, you should be very careful with the advice you hear online, even my advice, man. You should be very careful because a lot of it is always going to be subjective and biased to people's objectives. Me personally, I'm going to tell you, rice is not ideal because I've had experiences of getting acne with it. So I'm going to have that stance on it. And even, for example, Accutane, which I have done, and it was terrible for me. It destroyed my skin microbiome, got full dry skin, got gut issues, acid reflux, was puking, got depression, having suicidal thoughts from it. And I've talked to so many people who got hair fall, hair issues. They got skin discoloring because of it. Man, so much crap. It's terrible. It has literally refined soy oil, which is terrible for your health, of course. And there's a reason why it literally stops your skin from producing oil, which is a natural thing in inflammatory body. So just like that, I took Accutane and it didn't work. Like the acne would always come back. So can I say Accutane is terrible to get clear skin? Yes, it is. But perhaps, and who knows, Accutane might be the best thing in the world for some other disease, and it can save somebody else's life. Who knows, man? So I'm not gonna have like a full opinion of like Accutane is the worst thing in the world. Yes, it is terrible to get clear skin, 100%, but it might be, who knows, for something else. So I must always keep an open mind right here. And with health, we generally cannot assume certain things. Like, I cannot assume that, the rice was just the only thing that gave me acne. Oh, the rice is terrible, it gave me acne. When did I eat the rice? Was it under artificial light? Was it, at midnight? Was it after I had some
olive oil and the olive oil was already expired or something. You always gotta analyze things and go down to the science so you truly understand and you're not just making random assumptions, because usually with health assumptions don't work, because I've made so many assumptions of where my acne was coming from and it never disappeared. It was only when I studied, I invested in a coach, and I really went deep on what was my root cause. That's when I healed it, okay, with blood work and things like that. Okay, then the power of not knowing. So right now, you are watching this with a survival need, and that is to look more attractive or to fix some health problem. But without this motivation, you wouldn't seek understanding, which is the first thing to make a change and get better. And once this problem is fixed with acne, you no longer have acne, you have clear skin, you will no longer have that drive to keep learning and improving, unless you really get inspired and love and find fun to learn health. Okay, and that's really not a good thing, like to just learn how to be healthier when you are in a bad spot, when you are in a survival need, even because this is going to create a subconscious belief of I must have a terrible life, like I must be full of acne to then learn more. And if you're a person who's constantly seeking self-improvement, who's constantly wanting to learn more, you're literally going to self-sabotage yourself to get acne, to destroy your health, low energy, to then be able to learn because I'm my health is terrible, I must learn now. And if your health is good, you feel like you can relax. That's a terrible mindset. You must always be seeking to learn, man. So what is more powerful than this survival motivation? You don't know if the information you have is correct or if it isn't or enough. Don't assume you know everything you need to know. The information you don't know is always the most impactful, because you always think you already know everything, but then you learn something else and you're like, oh my god, this information was real life changing. It's always the new information that makes you the most changes. And when you learn it, you always are like, what the fuck? How did I assume I already knew everything? It's always like this, man. You pick up a book and you're like, oh my god, I should have read this book years ago. So now that you know, you must always keep seeking knowledge and keep learning, never stay satisfied. Let's get into more actionable stuff. So, commandants of evolution. What is this? You need to understand by Darwin's law, right? Do you remember that from school? Nature tries to predict the best environment for you, slash any species through natural selection. So, as you can see, a giraffe, you know, the giraffe developed to have a longer neck through natural selection because the trees were tall, and these ones that had a short neck, they died because they could not reach to the food, so they literally died, and the stronger the animal survived. And just like that, the same happened with humans. The current humans you see on today are supposedly the strongest human. They have survived thousands of years of natural selection. And so the humans you see today, man, are made and survived based on the environment. It was the environment that dictated the humans that survived. As you can see, the ones with shorter neck, they died because of the environment. The environment dictated who's alive today. And so when you change the environment you have developed in naturally, that's where things go off. It's like when you pick a polar bear and you put them in a tropical weather, what can we expect? Can we expect things to go well, or is eventually going to die? Or who knows, man? Or if you pick an Antarctic fish and you put it in a tropical ocean, it's also gonna die. And it's the same thing with humans, okay? It's the same thing. And so, for example, EMF, has this been a part of our environment, our natural environment, that we evolved in through natural selection? No, it hasn't. Artificial light, has this been part of our environment? No, it hasn't. It started literally 100 years ago. Sitting all day, is this part of our natural environment? Did we evolve through this? No, not at all. If you just sat all day, you would have died. Then UV light, have we evolved on this? Yes, we have. The sun has always been since the day we were born as humans. So we evolved through the sun right here. And so the original environment, just so you have an understanding, is the East African Rift, where naturally humans started to appear. And we evolved truly on walking naked outside, getting sun all over our body, and eating a lot of fish due to the amount of water in the rivers around us, of where we were located in. So this is the original environment. So you see, if you live in Sweden, which you barely have any sun, it's very cold. You see how if you're in that region and you're really probably gonna struggle, especially if you're eating, you know, fruits from the tropicals. Like you're literally eating fruits that aren't around your region. How is that even possible? You don't think that's gonna affect you, man? But the truth is, we are so capable of adapting that we see people today who just eat fruit. You know, these fruitarians are just eating fruit and they're able to survive. And so we have lost the feeling of feeling the right thing. Basically, intuition of knowing, what's the best thing for us. We have been detached. It's like you never know how shit you feel once you stop feeling like shit. Like people already feel so shit. They were born feeling like shit, in terms of their health, that right now they don't know what's the right thing because they think, having brain fog is just normal, just what everybody has because they've never felt what it's like to not have brain fog. And it's crazy. I used to be at a point where, like, I went on a 3-day fast, man, because my health was so bad that I could only feel good when I was not eating. Every time that I would eat, I would get brain fog. I would get acne. So I literally just stopped eating for 3 days, and that's when I felt the best, man. When I was not eating, then I realized, a lot of my issues that I'm gonna explain to you that you're probably going through. Once I fixed that root cause, I was then able to eat and not have issues. The food I was eating was actually helping me to thrive and not damaging me metabolically. And so, just like that, this is the introduction to how we're gonna fix your goddamn life, man. Essentially, you need to have this mindset for good health. In this guide, we're gonna go through what is your right environment and how exactly does this impact your health and how to optimize your right environment as much as possible so that you can have the best health possible. Clear skin, high energy, a sharp brain, everything related with good health, man. And so just like that, let's go through what exactly is the right environment. So you need to understand, first of all, your consciousness needs the body. Without the body, you could not be conscious. And the body needs the environment to survive. Because without an environment, food, water, the body could not survive. And so you need to understand, in order to have the best consciousness, you need to have the best body. And how do you have the best body? You have the best environment. Simple as that. And so, a good example of this is you have been designed to be active and hunt and be the most productive version of yourself through the day. And then you sleep at night, right? So you're not gonna like fall asleep during the day. No, that's the time you should be the most productive. Your testosterone is at its highest. You want to get work done. You want to go hunt. Just like that, the body, through thousands of years of evolution, has developed this time management optimization where we do certain processes during the day and certain processes during the night. And so, just like that, the body used information from our environment to then do this time management inside our body, do certain cellular processes at a certain time and others at another time. And so the body needs to know when the sun is out and when it's dark. Pretty simple. And so if your light environment is messed up, this will be messed up. You will never know when it's dark, when it's sunny, and therefore your body will start doing the wrong processes at the wrong time. Maybe it's the right process, but it's doing at the wrong time, so things will go off. And so every cell in your body notices every change that's happening with the sun, with the earth, and the environment around you. The more information you can have about the environment, the higher your survival chances, right? The body has optimized itself through these thousands of years of evolution to just be able to get as much information as possible. because the body's goal is to survive. So it's not gonna be, dying for no reason. He wants to have as much information. So you need to understand, if you give the body the wrong information, you will get the wrong results. You live in an artificial environment, you get the artificial information, you get artificial results. You get artificial stuff like diseases, artificial thoughts like depression, suicidal thoughts. You get artificial desires like being very lustful and going to parties and just wanting to hook up with every girl. You get artificial behaviors, like we see nowadays, people committing a lot of crimes and the Epstein stuff. All of this comes from an artificial life, man. So things like artificial light exposure at night, artificial light, right? So artificial results. Scrolling and messing up your dopamine system, artificial environment, artificial information. Being in an office, sitting down all day, being around people you hate, but you can't do anything about it, you're stressed all day, artificial light on top of you. Is this a natural environment that the human body has been developed through thousands of years of evolution? No. So it's an artificial environment equals artificial results. You suddenly get a heart attack for so much stress, man. Then tap water. We don't gotta talk about this, man. Artificial water right here. Then artificial food, artificial electromagnetic fields. No wonder your health is completely messed up, man. Because if you look around, all of it is artificial information. So your body is gonna do artificial stuff, artificial results like acne, brain fog. None of that is normal, right? Depression, things like that. But guess what? Your information is also not, real. It's not natural. Bam. No wonder stuff is messed up. It's as simple as that. So, environment mapping. Let me ask you, if you saw a group of deers, and this group of deers were just going crazy, they were killing their friends, they were killing their children, they no longer wanted to reproduce, they just suddenly decided, no, I don't want to have children, screw it. And they just were going crazy, they were doing a natural behavior. What would you do? Would you look at each deer individually, like, oh, what's wrong with this deer? Or would you look at the environment? What in the environment is causing this deer to do these certain behaviors? And with animals, it's funny because we do this. We go look at the environment. What exactly is going on? Maybe there's some diseases in the air that are causing these artificial stuff, these behaviors. But with humans, we don't do this. With humans, we are like, oh, he has depression. Nah, that's some brain issues. That's that person. He's different than all of us. He has depression. That's his problem. He has acne. Yeah, that's genetics. It's his problem. We don't look at the environment around it that's causing this, man. Very funny, right? And so, just like that, you need to map your environment. A good exercise for you to do is to, after you go through these modules, okay, it's a actionable step. After you go through this, you pick out a journal and you write everything around you that could be potentially harming you. For example, I have 200 meters from me a cell phone tower, and in this house, man, I get a lot of acid reflux. And I've talked to a lot of people in this health space, they get acid reflux in high EMF places. And there was a guy which was struggling so bad with this, he moved out. Suddenly, he had no more acid reflux. And so, just like that, man, you need to map your environment, and you only know what you know. So, you probably already heard this information on like artificial light is unhealthy, EMFs, but you never cared, right? You never cared because you never understood how bad this truly was for your health. And now that you're watching this, you finally can become aware of this, understand, and therefore make a change. So you need to understand your body has photoreceptors between everywhere, mainly in your eyes, right? And then it's gonna be in the fat of your body. And that's why when you're in the sun, your body can observe it and you get that information that it's daylight. So just like that, thought equals light and receptor equals receive. So it's pretty understandable what this word means. It's the process of your body understanding if it's daytime or not, essentially through the light, using this mechanism. So you have photoreceptors everywhere. Light goes deeper and penetrates the skin. And so it's not just about the eyes, we are talking about the subcutaneous fat and blood cells. So an issue that I had, man, and that I saw so many men having this. I watched an influencer, funny enough, and he made a video on this, and then I went to do the test myself, and I found out I had it. And then, funny enough, a friend of mine a few months later told me he also had this. It's so common. I think 1 in 10 men have this issue. So you better check because it can literally make you infertile. So listen up. What is this? This is a varicocele. It's essentially when the veins on top of your testicle literally get like all clogged up, like a bunch of worms together. And essentially, the test you need to do is just to go in there and see under the testicles if you feel like a bag of worms. If you feel it, then you most likely have a varicocele, or also on top of the testicle. If you feel it, a bag of worms, you have a varicocele. And if you feel, I'm not so sure about this, but if you feel like some little small balls, like it's like those, when you shoot like those guns of airsoft guns, and they have those small little balls. If you feel like those balls inside of it, it can mean the C disease, the cancer, that disease. I don't want to say it here, but it can mean that. So this is really serious. I want you to pause the video right now and go check it if you're a man. Go check if you have anything like this, like these clogged veins or those PBG small balls. Okay. So after you check that, I want to understand what is the cause of this. What causes varicocele? So let me ask you: have you ever went outside and gotten sun in your balls? Most likely not. So if you have a varicocele, you can tell where this is coming from because getting sunlight really helps with your blood cells and with blood flow. If you don't get sunlight in your balls, of course, issues are going to happen because naturally we are meant to get sun. We were meant to be naked in the tropics essentially. And so this stuff of covering ourselves, it's a bit artificial. We're giving artificial information, therefore we get artificial results like this. Simple. Then you can't do everything at the same time, so the body has adapted to have the best times to do certain activities to be the most optimum. As I said, we are the most active and the most energized through the day, and then at night it's recovery time. We aren't, in the hunting state at night, of course. And so if your light environment is messed up, these processes will be messed up. And for example, melatonin, which is the hormone that makes you fall asleep, is an antioxidant, and so it repairs cells. So you feeling sleepy and your melatonin goes up, it's with a good sign. It's the when the process of repairing cells is happening. And so you open the phone at night, bam, you messed up your inner clock. Suddenly your melatonin is no longer producing because your body thinks it's hunting time, it's daytime, let's go at it. It's not going to be producing melatonin. Then suddenly you get hungry at night because you think it's daytime. And this is why nutrition alone cannot fix you. You gotta fix the clock. So you see, if your body is messed up, your inner clock, your mitochondria is gonna be damaged. How do you expect food to heal you? How do you expect to eat a good steak, some good, sweet potatoes, and think, oh, this is actually good for me? No, man. If you have a messed up mitochondria, messed up, which is gonna be running on the inner clock, and if your inner clock is messed up, if this is happening, how is the food going to be converted into actual fuel to make you thrive? It can actually damage you because of the natural sugars, for example, in the sweet potato. They can be causing you insulin spikes through the roof if you're eating under artificial light, therefore causing you acne. So, man, light controls everything. Okay, light controls everything. The liver produces certain enzymes
to be able to use fat. This activation is circadian dependent. So if you, for example, are doing a carnivore slash high fat diet, which a lot of people go into to get clear skin, like get rid of breakouts, but then guess what? They get, excess fat in their face. They get bloated. They get lack of energy, and they get even excess belly fat. Why is this happening? Because your body is not converting fat properly. It's not even being used the fat correctly there. And that's why you feel low energy. And this is because this process of using fat is circadian dependent. So you need to be watching the sunlight, man. You need to be watching the sunrise, the sunset, in order to have a good circadian rhythm and be able to use fat. If this system is messed up, you will get like this dude right here, man. I believe this is the weekend. Look at him. Carnivore diet without a circadian rhythm, you will look like this. Some people can do well. They have a good redux, so they don't experience this stuff, which we'll get into a second. So this is why you putting all this effort into nutrition when there are bigger things. Like you're putting all this effort, but it's not even the priority. It's like you trying to put the best fuel in the world in your car, but the engine is broken. What is the fuel gonna do, man? It's not gonna do nothing. It's pretty useless. It's like focusing on nutrition, just nutrition, and then the engine is broken. So blue light and the brightness of the lights are the biggest indicators of the time for the body. So, for example, wearing sunglasses, it's blocking information that would influence your brain. Like it's telling your brain that it's no longer sunlight, it's no longer daytime because of the photoreceptors in your eyes. And the UV gives a signal that makes the skin produce melanin, equals you get tanned. So by you wearing sunglasses, and you can do this experiment, but I don't recommend, you're gonna get screwed. If by you wearing sunglasses, you are literally gonna get less tanned and produce less melanin, which is not a good thing. Being tan is literally a good sign of health. That's why we find it attractive. And for example, people who do Lasiac eye surgery have a higher suicide rate because you mess up the neuropsin that is at the surface of your eyes. So basic eye surgery is for people that have like some eyesight issues. I believe it's when you see bad, when you're like watching further things away from you, you see bad there, you don't see them well. I believe that's that, but maybe it can be for other stuff. But essentially, they just cut a bit of your eye. Like, I'm not so sure. They cut a bit of your eye and they remove a tiny thing on top of it, like a pellicle. And therefore, it messes up with your neuropsin. And it has been shown that people that do this surgery have higher suicide rates. Why? Because when UV enters your eyes, it creates beta endorphin, which is a hormone that makes you happy. That's why everybody loves to be at the beach, man. You just feel happy as hell. You're getting cold exposure, you're getting sunlight in your eyes, it's perfect. And so that's why we always love the summer too. So you need to understand what exactly is the inner clock. Let's get more into that. So the inner clock is going to be located in the hypothalamus, and this controls the inner clock. So more specifically, Dr. Martin Merritt found the suprapothalamic nucleus. Suprapothalamic. God damn it, man. If you search this on Google, you'll find it. Okay, I'm not the best at pronouncing these things. So essentially, it's located right here. Like if you pick your fingers and you put them on top of your ears, it's right there. It's in the middle. So just like that, this is exactly where your master clock is. And so this controls literally every organ in your body. Every cell in your body needs a clock because the way you operate at night is different from daytime. Otherwise, you would die 30 years shorter. Like if your body was always, doing everything at once, you would die. Because
why do we die? It's because our organs essentially just can't do the work anymore. Like they've gotten old. The cells are constantly dying and reproducing, and every cell is being born a bit more damaged, and therefore, eventually, the organs are going to be weaker and weaker, and then we die. Now, if the body is always operating, going crazy all the time, the cells are going to be dying earlier and reproducing quicker, and then eventually you'll die shorter, of course. So that's what you need to understand, man. This inner clock is very important. And if you study, for example, the cycle of your testosterone, in the morning it rises up a bit, and then in the afternoon, I believe it's 2 p.m., it rises up again. That's the times you are meant to have the most energy. Your cortisol also spikes in the morning as soon as you wake up. And then as you're falling asleep, it lowers. Why? Because you need to fall asleep. Now, and your melatonin the same way. It rises before you go to bed. Now, if you have your inner clock messed up, what can happen? You suddenly have a spike of cortisol through the night, or in the middle of the afternoon when you're not supposed to. Your melatonin starts to produce at lunchtime, and you want to take a nap. Completely messed up, man. And so let's talk about something you need to understand to fix your mind environment. Now let's get into the real stuff, actionable steps to fix these issues, to have the best circadian rhythm and have all your processes optimized at the right time. So you need to understand this is the light spectrum right here. This is the visible light spectrum, and these are all the light spectrums, the invisible ones. So inside the visible spectrum, we have essentially this right here. Now, you need to understand that at 200 to 290 wavelength, that's when we produce the most vitamin D, because you need the energy to oxidize cholesterol into vitamin D. That's how you do it. So at 200, 290, that's around here, that's UVB. And here's the funny thing. If you live in California, for example, there's so much EMF in there that literally the EMF will not allow UVB to get to the surface, and therefore you are getting sunlight, but you're not getting UVB, and so you're gonna get tanned, but it's gonna be a fake tan, and you're not gonna be observing UVB, which is needed for vitamin D. Okay, so UVB 280 to 315 wavelength. This is a shorter wavelength that penetrates the skin in your body, produces vitamin D, melanin, and helps the microbiome. Then UVA, okay? UVA penetrates deeper, also promotes melanin, takes time to build. So if you, for example, just started going out to the sun, perhaps you will not get as much effects from this because it takes time to build, as I said. And you should increase your exposure to the sun more and more to make sure you don't get burned, because if you're always inside and then suddenly you're outside, you might get burned. So you gotta build up, and you'll start to notice more and more positive effects. Then violet light is very healthy for the eyes and prevents myopia. Then blue light, okay, blue light 460 to 480 wavelengths, that destroys your melatonin, which is an antioxidant, as we covered, the most important for sleep. It depletes serotonin, and high serotonin levels lead to depression. Okay, so blue light, as we can see, it's inside the visible spectrum, which is also in the sun, yes, but it's not going to be a big issue when it's from the sun because it's combined with all these other spectrums right here, with all these other white wavelengths. And if it's just separate, that's when it's really an issue. Like if you're just getting artificial light, that's going to be an issue because you're signaling your body that there only is artificial light, and it's only blue light, and it's not like real brightness of the sun where it tells you it's daytime. No, it's like not so bright, not your body doesn't even know what's going on, and so it suppresses the melatonin at night, and which is what makes you fall asleep, and so many other stuff. So this is why you should be avoiding. Then blue light, for example, another effect. Blue light works on palm C and CLIP, and ACTH CLIP, which releases insulin. So this right here, man, you might be eating a carnivore diet, and you're eating dinner uh, at night, and you're eating an artificial light. You think, oh, I'm not spiking my insulin, I'm not gonna get acne. But guess what? The artificial light, the blue light, is going to be spiking your insulin, and it also spikes your cortisol. Just like that, blue light ACTH increases your cortisol, blood sugar, insulin spike. So this is why you should be avoiding it. And then green and red lights that are also in the visible spectrum. This right here can be used for painkillers, for example, to treat joint pain, arthritis, muscle injury, and inflammation. So essentially, for example, red light therapy, a lot of people use it for muscle recovery or for joint recovery. So green and red can serve as painkillers. Now you need to understand your mitochondria, the energy factories in your cell. That's why people say the mitochondria is the powerhouse, man. The mitochondria can absorb red light, and the mitochondria use light to improve energy production, to produce ATP. Cells use energy to talk to each other, to communicate, and this communication helps your body to function, to stay alive. If your cells aren't communicating with each other, how can the body function correctly? The body is a whole. It's not, oh, the skin is the separate part, the liver is the separate part, which is literally what the medical system does. You go to a dermatologist and you ask them, oh, does diet have something to do with my skin? And they'll tell you, no, 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 this is genetics, it's skin, whatever. The dermatologists have not studied how the actual body works. They haven't studied how the liver can influence your hormones and lead to acne, stuff like that. They just think it's all separate body parts. Then, water in your body can hold electrical charge. Your body needs to structure or extract water properly, and the way water is structured affects how well your cells work. Infrared light charges water in your body. Your skin acts like a solar panel. Collagen and melanin absorb UV light. So essentially, to summarize what's in here, basically you need to be getting red light. Okay, you need to be getting UV light, which your collagen and melanin are going to be observing through the skin, and this is going to help to charge water inside your body, which then is going to help with the functioning of your mitochondria, and therefore you will be healthy and you will have clear skin. If you have acne, if you have all these issues, might be that your mitochondria is messed up. So just like that, to put this into a better perspective, light gives energy, water stores it, and cells use it. So your skin is collagen and melanin is going to be observing the sun. It's like a solar panel. Then light, it's like the charger of a computer. And then water is like the battery. So essentially, you have the solar panel that's going to be receiving the light, the energy from the charger, and then the water stores the energy. It's a battery, literally. So this is exactly how it works, man. So the key points: great skin equals good mitochondria in your face. The secret is to be outside. When you pee and sweat, that is water with fewer electrons, and the water with the most electrons gets stored. So going back to the water being the battery there, and then expose to red and near infrared light support skin function and may help improve resilience to UV exposure. While lack of sunlight can increase oxidative stress in the skin, this oxidative stress, including molecules like hydrogen peroxide, can contribute to melanin breakdown, potentially increasing sensitivity to UV radiation over time. So essentially, what I just explained is why exactly do some people go outside and they get sun damage, they get burned, and that's why people tell you, oh, the sun is very unhealthy. This is exactly why, because they have literally lost the resilience to the UV. They haven't exposed themselves, and the more you expose, the better you get at this. So just like that, sun is king. To summarize with everything, sun is king, and you need the right information to have the right processes in your body going on at the right times, and therefore thrive and have good mitochondria, which leads to good skin, good mental sharpness, good energy, everything you need for good health, man. So this is the key. The sun is king. As you can see, I'm recording outside. Now let's get into more in-depth actionable steps. In this guide, let's go through how exactly the mitochondria is the foundation to achieve peak health and how to optimize it to the fullest so you can achieve clear skin, high energy, an aesthetic physique, and feel goddamn amazing, man. So just like that, the mitochondria are the powerhouse. Essentially, the mitochondria are specialized organelles known as the powerhouses of the cell, generating over 90% of cellular energy in the form of ATP. So, for example, if you want to have a good functioning brain, if you want your hair to be growing well, if you want clear skin, if you want to speak well and not stutter, if you want to read a book and remember what you just read and don't have to come back to the same sentence and read it again, if you want to do all of these actions on a day to day, you need energy. You need energy to be able to do them. And if you have a weak mitochondria, some dysfunction in the mitochondria, your energy will not be efficient. And therefore, you will not be able to do these actions well. And that's why you have these issues like lack of energy, bad skin. You can't restore the skin. Stuff like that. It comes all from an energy issue. And people talk about how you should be eating this diet for health. Oh, try this diet, it's the healthiest diet. Do exercise, it's the healthiest thing. They talk about all of this health stuff, but they never actually explain what is health in the first place. Like nobody has just told us, oh, this is what health means. No, and I'm gonna explain it to you right now. Health is simply your body being able to convert the food and nutrients and using oxygen to the most energy efficiency as possible. You may be eating a lot of food, but if your mitochondria isn't working well, all that energy is pretty much just being wasted and it can actually be causing you even more harm. So just like that, health is pretty much just having as much energy as possible, being able to convert something into as much energy, having good energy efficiency. It's pretty much that. And so you need to understand that your mitochondria works on the circadian rhythm. And here's the key genes that you need to know to understand the circadian rhythm. So genes are proteins inside your mitochondria that focus on restoring and doing protein synthesis. Without genes, you couldn't do it. So just like that, we have the BMLA1 and the clock, which turn on during the day. And then we have the purr and the cry, which rise at night and turn these ones off. So as these ones go up, these ones goes down, just like that. And during the daytime, BMLA1 and clock increase, and at night, purr and cry rise and inhibit the BMLA1 and clock. And just like that, this creates a daily rhythm. That's why we call it circadian rhythm. And these cycles controls when your body makes energy. If your timing is off, your body doesn't function properly. Simple as that. So, for example, sleep. You want to produce as little energy while you're sleeping to limit reactive oxygen species formation. So, cry rises at night and helps suppress energy production. And so you see if your circadian rhythm is messed up, these processes will be done at the wrong time and therefore mess up your energy efficiency. So next, might entering the eyes regulates the circadian rhythm. You know, the clock genes like BMMA1, clock, percry, and metabolic regulators like rev herb, alpha, uh, IF1 alpha. So just like that, which together control cellular energy use, and how cells respond to low oxygen conditions. So pretty much what we just went through here is that even the use of oxygen and at night you suppressing, reactive oxygen species formation, all of this is also correlated with the circadian rhythm, and you don't breathe the same at night as you do in the day. And a big issue which I talk about in the program is how we are over breathing. And a lot of people are becoming hypoxic where they have excess oxygen in their body and low CO2 levels, which prevents them from delivering the nutrients to the cells, because the oxygen is the gets the nutrients and delivers them to the cells, but he only is able to release the nutrients if it has the CO2 competing and fighting for the nutrients, and therefore the nutrients get released from the oxygen. That's how it works. And if you have low CO2 levels for over breathing, especially if you're mouth breathing, stuff like that, it's going to be a problem. And understand how important this is, man, the circadian rhythm. Look at Cristiano Ronaldo. Like Cristiano Ronaldo, he is the best player in the world in football. But imagine if every 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 goal he got, he kicked the ball 1 second later or 1 second before, like just 1 second. Suddenly he would probably be a very mediocre player. And just like that, that's how important timing is. It's the same thing with your body. If you want to achieve extraordinary results with your health, your timing cannot be off. Like Cristiano Ronaldo, his timing is not off, man. Like I've seen interviews where he's talking to somebody on a meeting, and 10 minutes go by, he stands up and he goes do a 10 minutes cardio session, and then he comes back into the meeting. That's how he is so accurate with his timing, because he has calculated everything that it takes to achieve, the best player in the world, to be at that level. He has calculated everything by precision, and he follows it. If he misses it, he's not going to achieve it. The same thing goes with your health. Now let's talk about how cells make energy, because this is important. We have the TSA cycle, which is the main cycle that we use to make energy. But if the mitochondria doesn't work well, the body shifts to a backup system, which is glycolysis, which is the Warburg-like metabolism. So essentially, this causes less efficient energy production, more stress on the body. And so mitochondria and cell control. For example, mitochondria helps control mitosis, which is the cells growing, and apoptosis, which is the death of the cell. And so when the mitochondria doesn't work well, the cells may grow uncontrollably, which can lead to things like tumors, okay, where the cells are just dividing itself infinitely, and this is where a lot of issues can happen, man. And the organs that need the most energy are the brain and the heart. And so you see, if you have an energy deficiency, if your mitochondria isn't working well and these issues are happening here, what are the organs that are going to be affected, the first organs to be affected? It's most likely going to be the heart and the brain. And it's funny because, like, I'm a person who's very obsessed with eating healthy and just doing the best habits, training. And my mom was like to me, "Oh, you are always so obsessing about the food. I know this man that used to wake up at 5 a.m., used to go on runs. He was always eating healthy. And guess what? He died at 50 years old. He got a heart attack." She's always telling me this story. And at the time, I just didn't understood why. Why would this happen to this man? Why did this happen? Like, he didn't deserve it. He was doing all the good habits. But then I understood. Because guess what? He was waking up at 5 a.m., getting under artificial light, going to a gym, running on a treadmill, getting all these EMF, all these artificial light, messing up the circadian rhythm. And he most likely had a mitochondrial dysfunction there, where he wasn't producing energy efficiently, and therefore he got a heart attack, just like that, and he died. And so mitochondrial dysfunction, like heteroplasm, can impact these systems right here. And this is something to take very seriously, because something like developing autism as you're growing up, as an adult even, or even when you're born with it, this can come from heteroplasm, which is when the bad function of the mitochondria causes this heteroplasm, which is the coexistence of mutated and healthy mitochondrial DNA within a cell. And this is generated by high levels of reactive oxygen species. And as you can see, multiple studies have done on this right here. So just like that, you need to understand gene expression and timing. Your body needs the right genes active at the right time. BFMA1, clock, PER, cry, other regulators like oxygen response pathways, all of these need to be at the right timing, and this comes from the circadian rhythm. If you eat before seeing the sunlight, your body may still think it's night, so equals poor metabolic function equals lower energy production, because all these processes are going to be happening at the wrong timing, therefore leads to poor energy production. And then food versus light as energy. What is more important, food or light then? So food provides fuel, but it's not the only energy input. It's not necessarily the food that's going to give you the most amount of fuel, but these processes working well, which is then going to create more ATP. What does it matter if you put the right fuel, the best fuel in your car, if the car is always leaking fuel? You know, you want the car to be using the fuel as best as possible. And this comes from this. Then liver and fat metabolism. Your mitochondria in the liver converts fat into energy, into ketones. If this fails, the fat builds up in your liver, which leads to fatty liver. Your triglycerides increase. Ideally, you want them below 270, below 50 is even better. And so, just like that, burning fat is dependent on the BLMA1 gene and clock gene, which comes down to proper mitochondrial function. That's, as I've mentioned, if you're doing a carnivore diet, high fat diet, but your circadian rhythm messed up, that's when you experience a lot of issues like lack of energy, fatigue, cramps, so much crap. So, this is why calories are a flawed system. And the reason why is because calories are simply when scientists put the food into a machine and the food is basically burned and they see how much energy is released from heating up a food. And that's not how actually our body works. We're not like this perfect machine that, they put the food in and we see how much energy is released. No, because you eating 100 calories of sugar and you eating 100 calories of fat, it's not going to be the same in your body. Of course not. And so the body converts food into chemical energy via mitochondria, turns it into ATP, which is usable energy. If the mitochondria is damaged, misaligned with the circadian rhythm, or stress, it leads to less ATP produced, more waste, fat storage, oxidative stress. So just like that, two people can eat the same amount of food, and one will get more energy, and another will get less energy, depending on their mitochondria. And this is why we see people eating the same diet but get total different results. You know, I've seen so many videos online saying kiwis are so good for the skin. Eat your kiwis, man. The vitamin C will get you clear skin. I followed that advice. I followed the advice and I ate some kiwis, but I got acne from it. I was literally getting acne from the kiwis. While other people, they are eating this and they're getting clear skin. Vitamin C maxing. While others, natural sugars are causing me acne. So just like that, you cannot say eat this diet for this result because there are going to be so many factors. We have different environments, different light and EMF exposure, different circadian rhythms, different nutrition absorption and usage. So if you have leaky gut, inflammation, the same healthy food can literally cause you issues, while to another person it doesn't. And so this is why it's more important to focus on the mitochondria and fixing this than to just follow some diet which some random person told you to follow and to them may have worked. But guess what? If they're on the other side of the globe, if they are not around the same cell phone towers, it's going to be totally different. So an aesthetic low calorie diet or a clean bulking can lead to low energy, brain fog, acne, digestive issues, which was literally what happened to me, man. I was eating healthier than everybody I knew, and I was suffering the most. To the point where I did a 3 day fast. I didn't eat anything because when I was eating that, I was feeling terrible. So I decided, oh, I might as well not eat. And that was when I saw my skin improve. I had no energy issues, no brain fog, no gut issues, and it was terrible, man. Imagine like the only time you feel good is when you're not eating. It's terrible. And so you need to understand, like there are people that eat junk food, but they go on vacation. Like they go on vacation, they eat junk food and they get clear skin, while another person is eating a whole foods diet and their skin looks terrible because of all these factors right here. And this person that's eating junk food, but guess what? They're in the sun all day. They're getting vitamin D. They fix their circadian rhythm. Guess what? They get clear skin even when eating bad fuel. So it's not like nutrition is the only factor to this. Not at all. That's why we see things like this, where people go and eat junk food, but they're on vacation and their skin clears up. While when they're in their hometown, they're eating super clean and their skin gets worse. Doesn't make sense. So to put everything into a better perspective, the mitochondria is the engine of a car, essentially of your body. The fuel is the food, not useful unless the engine works well. You might eat the best diet in the world, but if the engine is broken, doesn't matter. Then the ignition is when you start the car. That's circadian rhythm. So light exposure essentially, tells the engine when to run efficiently. Efficiently. If you do not have the ignition, your car can't even start. Your engine won't start, man. So you need a circadian rhythm for the engine to start. Then the battery is going to be water and electrolytes, so stores and distributes energy. Then the tires are going to be your hormones and circulation, so the delivery system, you things like insulin, blood flow determine where the nutrients go or how the energy is used. So essentially, you have all these systems to then make the tires work, and therefore the car can move. That's going to be your hormones in circulation. And then the driver is you. It's going to be your brain, your nervous system, and this controls the decisions of what you eat, when to move, the exercise you're doing, everything, your nervous system, okay? So just like that, let's go through some common questions that I get often by my clients. Like, which is worse? Eating a Big Mac in the sun or eating some rice under artificial light at night? I'm gonna tell you, man, I would personally get way less acne from this meal right here. I'm gonna get so much more acne from this because first of all, the rice is just gonna spike my insulin. Then I'm messing up my circadian rhythm because I'm eating at night, so I'm signaling to the body that it's daytime, which doesn't allow me to recover and increase my melatonin, which is an antioxidant which repairs my cells, helps me restore my skin. I cannot do that. And then the Big Mac, okay, it's completely garbage. I would never eat this, but at least I'm eating it in the sun. Is gonna help decrease the insulin spike. The sun literally does that, while the artificial light increases your insulin. And so, yes, I'm gonna tell you this is better in terms of getting less acne. Hypothetically, I would choose this one, but I would not. I would choose none. Okay. Then, what if instead of the rice or the Big Mac, we have a steak? Eating a steak under artificial light at night, or some fish for the DHA at night. Which one do I eat? Man, once again, none of them. You do not need to eat under artificial light before you go to bed. What's the point? You're already gonna go to bed. Why do you need to eat? Why do you need the energy for? You're gonna sleep, man. So you store the energy, you store this food in the fridge, and you eat it in the morning as soon as you see the sun. Simple as that. And another question, should I wear blue light blocking glasses in school slash in my job, even when it's light outside, even when it's sunny? Here's the answer. Any artificial light has an unbalanced spectrum of light. The artificial and blue light in school will trigger inappropriate cortisol spikes and activate certain cellular activities without activating others. Not to mention, it mimics the cortisol spike you get when you look at the sun, since it supposedly has a larger chunk of blue light in it. But since the light is isolated, it's harmful and in much higher amounts than what is natural in the sun. And without the other protective light, such as red light, disturbing the cortisol to melatonin ratio and having your cells believing that it's different time in the day than it really is, this occurs even when it is daytime. It's not like there is tons of blue light in the sun and the artificial light in the halls of the are also is also very bright, which is not appropriate for winter. When you need to have a different melatonin to cortisol ratio and be more exposed to the cold, the darkness and the different light cycles in order for your body to function properly, it is especially destructive in the winter in higher latitudes such as Sweden. You rely more on the correct light input since you don't have as much sun, which anchors the circadian rhythm fast and has good amounts of red light. So even if it is artificial light while you are walking in the halls or just quickly looking at an LED computer screen, you should always have blue light blockers on. The imbalance superficially bright light will trigger cortisol spikes and confuse your body even when it is bright outside. Since the fact that just like there's far more UV in the tropics, there's far more blue light emitted from the sun as well because of the solar angle. This means that the blue light may be even more harmful at higher altitudes. So I know I just read a lot. This is a post in my school community, which all my clients have access to, and they can ask questions, and I'll always answer in depth, just like I answered here. So to recap, if you kind of zoned out, you have some energy deficiency, you didn't pay attention. Essentially, should you block blue light at all times? Yes. Right now, I'm recording this video with a blue light blocker on my PC. And so, yes, you should have it out at all times because it is not normal and natural for us to just have the blue light spectrum hitting our body because this is going to cause certain processes in the body to be activated and other processes aren't going to be activated. So it causes a whole imbalance there. And especially if you live in higher altitudes like Sweden, like this guy right here, you should be avoiding blue light even more because even the sun doesn't have that much blue light up there. While in the tropics, there's going to be way more blue light the closer to the equator. So you being exposed to blue light, especially during the day, from the phones, it's not going to be harmful. But yes, it's still going to be harmful. Now, how blue light affects thyroid? And I'm telling you this because a lot of people they go on these carnivore diets and guess what, their thyroid gets wrecked. They stop eating carbs, they're not having iodine, so it's still, which is something you need to include. They're not eating a lot of fish, a lot of DHA, and they're not doing cold exposure, which are all great things for thyroid health. They're not doing those things, so their thyroid goes to crap, their T3 goes to crap, and they have low energy, um, electrolyte imbalances, they have muscle cramps, and they can't train again. Like they have to stop training, they see themselves losing muscle. And so, to answer this thyroid problem issue, what you need to realize is that blue light is completely messing you up. Okay, if you want to understand the more scientific part of this, you can read what I've answered here inside of the community. I also put it here in the presentation. So, read this and to pretty much give you an actionable step if you have thyroid issues, you need to eat more iodine rich foods. Avoid blue light exposure, eat more DHA, so go eat some local fresh fish, then do cold exposure, go on a swim in the ocean, take cold showers, and then you can also include some local and seasonal carbs because they're local and seasonal, the deuterium levels aren't going to be an issue. So here are some posts inside the community of clients of mine that dialed in their white environment. And here are the side effects, man. I blocked the vast majority of artificial blue light now, and I've started having like 5 to 7 dreams per night. 2 days ago, I got 2 lucid dreams in one night, even though I do zero lucid dreaming practice, and I didn't do it for many years. So, as you can see, blocking blue light helps you to get lucid dreams, which is essentially you being alive in your dreams. You can control them. You're aware you're dreaming, and you can do anything. You can have, relationship with women. You can fly. You can swim underwater forever. You can do anything. How crazy is that? Like we sleep 30% of our entire life, man. Wouldn't you want to live those 30%? You can. You can live a second life by literally doing lucid dreaming, and blocking blue light will help you to achieve that. Then blue light causes addiction. I've been without blue light on my phone and computer for 5 days now. I feel better already. I'm quitting smoking easily and feeling calmer and a little happier. Why does blue light cause other addictions? My man Ryan answered, blue light lowers dopamine, so you'll be hungry for things that give you quick dopamine, like short form dopamine, content, snacking, junk food. Then my man Heaver, when my light game is good, I see the sunlight, I see the sunset. I feel very clearly when my body wants to go to sleep, much easier to go to sleep. So, if you want to have a good metric to know if your circadian rhythm is good, tell me, man, when the sun goes down, do you instantly feel the melatonin and you want to fall asleep? If you do, good, you have a good circadian rhythm. If you don't, it's messed up. And even like small LED lights coming from the TV as you're falling asleep, they still mess you up. And you might wake up in the night because of that. And just to give you like a quick conspiracy theory, the mafia mob realized that people in the casinos, if they closed all the windows and had more blue light in there, people had less self control and they made more money in the casino, of course. And what do we see nowadays? The casinos have blue light everywhere, right? But what also has blue light? Everything, man. The supermarkets are full of blue light to make you consume more. You go to a restaurant, the menus are not on paper anymore. You have to pull out your phone, scan the freaking QR code, and get blue light going through your eyes to make you want to eat more. They give you bread to start your meals, so the leptin gets blocked, your leptin hormone, which makes you crave even more food even though you are not actually hungry. Everything is studied, man. Everything is studied, and all they want you is to be a consumer and consume more and consume more and consume more and be addicted and be addicted. And that's how they control you. That's how, man. They mess up your dopamine system, they mess up your leptin hormone to make you constantly hungry, so you overeat a lot. And this is essentially some conspiracy theories which are more than true because you can see it with your own eyes. It's literally everywhere. And you might say, oh, evolution has gone this route naturally. It wasn't like, planned out. No. There's a reason why Biden literally banned incandescent lights, which is going to be very good for, the circadian rhythm. It's not going to disrupt it like the blue light. Biden banned that crap, or Biden or Obama, I'm not sure, but they banned it, man, and they say it's because of the environment. And as you guys saw, my man Lewis was able to stop smoking by avoiding blue light, because when you get your dopamine baseline back, suddenly reading a book is enjoyable. And you no longer crave those big dopamine spikes from smoking, from watching porn, from scrolling. You no longer want to do that. You're okay, and it genuinely feels amazing to read a book. It's like when you start eating healthy,
Suddenly having a sweet potato tastes like a chocolate cake. It's the same thing with your dopamine. If you get your dopamine baseline back, reading a book will feel the same as playing a video game or watching corn. And the same with acne. If your insulin is always through the roof, whether it's with sugar, junk food, or natural sugars like rice, pasta, things like that, or even from blue light, because blue light spikes your insulin. If your insulin is always high, you develop insulin resistance, which leads to constant acne. Just like that, man. If you're able to go to the baseline, to your natural state, you will fix most likely all of your issues. And so here are some things that I've experienced by avoiding artificial light. I am less likely to do unnecessary things with technology, so I'm less prone to addiction. I was able to avoid watching porn and scroll and be watching all those health reels, which are completely useless. You watch so many health reels, none of them actually help you to get healthy because it's always fluff knowledge like eat this diet, carnivore diet sucks, primal diet, no, no, no. Nobody talks about what I just told you, which is fixing your mitochondria. Nobody talks about this. And I guess there's a reason why. I guess these people that have created the society like this don't want you to know this, of course. And they want you to be distracted by thinking that the food you eat is the most important stuff. And the food is already poisoned because it has glyphosate, which is a pesticide that's pretty much in all our soils, which is going to be messing our health, of course. But they want us to be focused on that so that we miss the bigger picture here. Then, too, lower HbA1c and blood sugar, then way better sleep, way better eye health, vision, and light sensitivity, and I feel calmer and lower cortisol. Then this brings me to the important point again. You protect yourself from artificial lights at all times. Even if it's day, you protect yourself. You have the blockers on your phone, the blockers on your PC. At night, you wear blue light blockers. You're always outside getting the right information. That's what you should be doing. So here are the key takeaways from this guide. A healthy mitochondria equals good energy production. Good energy production equals health, equals clear skin, equals sharp brain, equals good digestion, equals good muscle recovery, equals good sleep, equals good speaking, equals good everything, man. Everything you can imagine comes from this. And this depends on circadian rhythm, light exposure, so getting the right information from light that comes from being outside, and avoiding artificial light. Then avoiding EMF exposure, artificial EMF exposure from cell phone towers, from your phone. You should be on Wi-Fi airplane mode, man, and not put in your pocket unless you want to have a varicocele, and that is also related to that. So, man, avoid EMF exposure. Then be in a good environment, go to the tropics if your symptoms are very bad, eat seasonal and local food for the deuterium levels. For example, if you don't do well with carbs, are you in Sweden, for example, in a high latitude where there's literally no carbs? Why the hell are you eating carbs, man? No wonder you have acne. There's no carbs around you. You're getting artificial information. You're eating fruits from the tropics, so your body's getting the information that it is around a lot of sun when it's not. So the processes are going to be messed up. So food amplifies what your body is already set up to do. It provides energy, but how that energy is used depends on timing, light exposure, and cellular signaling, gene expression. Okay? Just like that, man, we covered one of the most life-changing guides that I've ever made, man. This is gonna take your health to a whole new level. If you want one-on-one help to really make sure you make this happen, you have me on your side, making you accountable to doing the right actions and following the right systems to make sure you fix this crap for good, get clear skin, high energy, aesthetic physique. Then book a call in the description. I'll see where you're at and we'll sort it out, man. I'll lay a plan just for you, specific
depending on the location you're at, so you can make sure you thrive. Okay, let's go, man. See you in the next mod. Oh my god, dude. See you in the next one. I hope you're ready, man, because we are about to go through the hidden link between water, energy, clear skin, good digestion, good sleep, good muscle recovery, good testosterone production. Literally anything you can imagine is going to be correlated to a good foundation on your water. And what do I mean by your water? You need to understand you are literally made out of water. 75% of you when you are born is water, and as you develop into a man, right now you are 60% of water. And water makes up more than 95% of all molecules in your human body. So just like that, if you have healthy water inside of you, you will most likely be healthy since you are made out of so much water. And so healthy water equals healthy body. And to put this into a better perspective, water is what enables life to exist. It's like when you look into the space, you see all these stars, all these planets, but you would not be able to see these planets and stars if there was no space. You know, if there wasn't emptiness around these stars, around these planets, you could not see them. If only it was light everywhere, you could not see the stars. It's because there's emptiness around it that you can see the stars. And it's the same with water. Water is like the emptiness, and we are only able to see life because there is water, man. And so just like that, you are kind of like a cup of water, literally, because look at this, 75% of your brain is water. Blood, 83%. And you get my point, man. So you are no different, you are pretty much no different than a cup of water. And so if the water in a cup is unhealthy, and you're drinking that goddamn water, guess what's gonna happen to you? If the water is stagnant, it's getting mold everywhere, it's getting microplastics, heavy metals, EMFs, it's not getting light, it's under artificial light, all that stuff. The water is going to be disgusting. If you're doing the same habits that make the water disgusting, guess what? You're going to become a subhuman. You're going to become unhealthy. Same logic there. So whatever affects water affects you. You have healthy spring water, which is grounded, away from EMF, it's in the nature, it's in the sun, no pollution. And just like that, you then have tap water, you have chloride in it, all these chemicals, you have birth control hormones that turn the frogs gay, you know. You have low mineral content, you have fluoride, no sun, EMFs around the water, just like that. Have you ever tasted tap water and it tastes so bad? Like I literally heard my mom say this, and she advocates to drink tap water. She said this tastes like laundry detergent, and she spitted it out. But she keeps doing it. She keeps drinking, and so just like that, man, we can learn a lot by water because we are made out of water. And so we are healthy in the environment which is most adapted to life. An environment where water is healthy equals 95% of our molecules will be healthy too. And so water with minerals together help regulate the electromagnetic properties of cells and bodily processes, while light provides signals that guide how energy is used efficiently. So we're gonna get more in depth into this, but you just need to understand in general that if the water around you is healthy, like you live in an environment that has good and healthy water, you will most likely be healthy. Now, if you live in a desert area where naturally there isn't supposed to be life in there, you know, you don't see any animals, you don't see plants, most likely it's not a good environment for you to live in. And so a lot of the information we're going to cover here is based on the studies of Gilbert Wink, which was the biggest man behind the MRI machine, which is a machine that utilizes the magnetic properties of hydrogen protons in body water. So through magnetic fields, it aligns these protons, and radio frequency pulses disrupt them, which creates these spins of resonance. And then as the protons relax back to alignment to their normal spot, this allows us to have an image, for example, of the brain. And so just like that, Gilbert Wink
was the biggest man behind the discovery of easy water, which is a structured gel-like four-phase of water that forms near hydrophilic surfaces. It carries a negative charge, stores energy like a battery, and is more viscous and ordered than liquid water. It is crucial for cellular functioning, hydration, and detoxification, often created via light and heat. So essentially, what does this mean? So you know how we have three stages of water. We have the liquid form that we can drink, we have the solid form, which is like ice, and we have the gas form, which is the water evaporates. But then we have like a fourth phase, which is when you have gelatin. You know, gelatin isn't liquid, like you stab it with a knife and it doesn't spill water, but it's also not solid. It's not like it's ice, rock solid. So it's that fourth phase. It's like a gel form. And it's the same thing in your body. You have your water kind of stored as gel. Otherwise, you would cut yourself and you would start spilling a bunch of water. But that doesn't happen. And so, just like that, we can see here easy water, which is going to be more dense, higher pH, less hydrogen, negatively charged, as you can see here, and more electrons, more oxygen. So this is important to cover because the healthier people have a better net negative charge. So people who are healthier, they tend to have more easy water, more negative charge here. And we're going to cover that. So easy water forms next to hydrophilic surfaces and is influenced by infrared energy, including heat and sunlight. Cells are largely composed of easy water and electrolytes. So as you can see, cells are largely composed of easy water. So it's important that you have healthy easy water. And research suggests that infrared wavelengths around 3000 nanometers is the best light in terms of formatting the structured water. And just like that, UV increases negative zone water. So essentially, it's working like a battery, where from the UV light, you are literally able to get energy in your body. And the more negative zone, the higher the easy water, the more easy water you have against your membranes, the more electrical energy your cells have to do work. So just like a battery, you're getting energy and it's charging up. And so literally, UV give us energy. And just like that, this is something, you don't see a lot in the most common health space. And most people focus on the food, food, food. But just like that, you can literally get energy from the sun. And for example, grounding supports electron balance in the body, and UV exposure can stimulate nitric oxide production, which helps improve blood flow. So, by grounding, by putting your feet on the earth, it's going to help with stabilizing magnetic properties in your body because your body uses magnetism. And so, you need to be connected with the magnetism of the earth. And why is this super important? We're going to talk right now about redox. Redox, let's separate the word. It's reduction. So, given an electron, that's what it means. And oxidation gives an electron. So, you can see this image. We have here oxidation, it releases an electron. And reduction, it accepts an electron. Okay, and antioxidants. These are important that we go over so you can understand better what we're going to talk. Antioxidants prevent oxidation because they can donate electrons to the thing that is oxidized. So it's saving it from taking it to something else which causes harm. So just like that, you have a free radical, which is this damage thing right here, and the antioxidant pretty much gives an electron to prevent this stuff to go and take from other cells which will damage and cause harm, which is why antioxidants is important. And so where do electrons come from? Because it seems like it's super healthy, like we're able to give out electrons and eliminate the free radicals. We need electrons, right? Where do they come from? So the body gets electrons from food. Electrons flow through the electron transport chain,
and this produces ATP, which is the energy the cells use. And so just like that, why do people, do these big discussions of like, you should eat this, you should eat the carnivore diet, high fat, and then some others tell you, eat carbs, eat carbs. Just like that, I'm going to prove it to you how fat is way superior. Because fats are more electron rich than carbohydrates. They can generate more ATP per molecule. And they can also produce more metabolic water, which I'll explain in a second. So fat is going to be way superior than carbs because it literally has more electrons. It will help with this antioxidant process. And now let's cover what is metabolic water. Metabolic water is water that is produced inside your body during energy production. So you get oxygen that you breathe, you eat food, you get electrons and protons from the food, and therefore you get water. And just like that, this is metabolic water that your mitochondria literally creates. And so we have two types of water. We have the endogenous, which is the water you drink, and we have the endogenous, which is the metabolic water. And so external hydration, which is going to be the bulk source, as you saw in the image, is going to be this one right here, the bulk one. This is the water we drink, and this comes from 80% of water we drink, liquids, 20% from food. And just like that, this water is mainly for blood volume and flushes out toxins. So you see those people telling you drink 8 cups of water. That's wrong advice. That's not really good because and we're gonna get into this. Main hydration comes from the metabolic water, not necessarily from the water you drink, because the water you drink is mainly just going to be for the blood volume and to flush out some toxins. And that's why if you drink too much, you're literally gonna be peeing it. You're not even using it. And then we have internal hydration, which is this metabolic water. It is the purest form of water the body can access. It is deuterium depleted, perfectly pH balanced for the internal cellular environment. No microplastics, no fluoride, no chloride. Just like that, this is the water we produce after the electron transport chain. As you can see, we have multiple complexes, and then in the fourth complex, you can see it is created water right here. And just like that, this is going to be the purest form of water. And so why focus so much on like the water you drink if you have access to the best water in the world that your body literally creates? So if we focus on getting the best and more perfect water that our body creates, metabolic water, that's going to be actually better for us. It's going to be the one thing that's going to take our health to the next level. And now here to just separate metabolic versus easy water, they are not the same thing, okay? Metabolic water is about how your body makes water, while easy water is a theory about how water behaves once it's inside your tissues. And so just like that, the metabolic water is burned by the electron transport chain, as I showed you, and the easy water is by water's contact with surfaces and light. And it is said, like if you see, this is a table I got from ChatGPT to literally show you this. It says here controversial theory. So just like that, this is not a theory that's accepted by standard biology. Why is that, you might ask? And I don't want to get into conspiracy theories here, but why do you think they don't want us to know that, the sun, the light, literally is able to get us energy due to the water, the easy water? Because the easy water acts as a battery. Why don't you think they want us to know this? Maybe it's because they promote so much that the sun is unhealthy. We should be inside all day. Don't go outside. Wear sunscreen. And the sun is so bad for you. Man, if they suddenly said to you, oh, you actually need sunlight, it can help you to get energy in your body. Maybe it's even more important than the food you eat, the energy you're getting from the food. You can actually reduce the amount of calories you eat and get more sunlight, and therefore you get more energy. without eating, which ages you. Every time you spike your insulin, you're aging. So just like that, by you reducing the calories you eat, but by getting sunlight, you're getting the same amount of energy, but aging less due to the due to not eating. And just like that, do you think they want us to know this information? Do you think they want to promote us to live outside a healthy lifestyle where we're happy, we're not inside all day in an office under artificial light working all day? That would collapse the goddamn world if people knew this information. Because 99% of people live inside working a 9 to 5 job, and they go outside, they put sunscreen, all that nonsense. Just like that, they want you more worried about the food that's in your plate than the actual bite that is touching all over your skin, which is influencing every single process in your body. And that's why no matter how healthy you try to eat, you can still get messed up. And so just like that, how to charge cellular water. So sunlight and full spectrum light, like infrared and red light wavelengths, physically expand the exclusion zone in cellular water. Then mitochondrial light, which is the light that the mitochondria literally creates, our own engines, emit ultra weak biophotons that help maintain the water structure from the inside out. Then cold exposure, thermogenesis increases infrared output within the body, further charging the cellular battery. So just like that, these are the three main things to charge the cellular water. It's going to be getting sunlight and cold exposure and having a good mitochondria. So just like that, charging water means separating charges. So you are separating the plus from the minus, and this effectively creates a pool of available electrons. And a higher net negative charge, you have more electrons than protons, that's what it means, the higher redox you have. And the higher redox means the higher energy you have stored to fight inflammation, repair DNA, and power your metabolism. So the ideal, the net negative charge should be 70 to 90 millivolts. And so just like that, we're gonna get into this, man. You want to have a higher redux. And you see people who eat junk food and they go out, they eat McDonald's, maybe they go to parties, they are under artificial light, they're drinking alcohol, they're doing all these bad habits, but somehow they seem so much healthier than you. They have clear skin, they don't seem to have brain fog, no energy issues. It's so weird, right? That's because they have a higher redox. And this can come from genetics, but it can also come from like past habits when they were children that they weren't even aware that they were doing the right things. It can come from many factors. But just like that, the higher the redox you have, the higher chance you can get away from like small little bad habits. Like you can eat some junk food and not get acne from it if you have a higher redox. And this is what we need to focus to fully get clear skin, because a lot of people will tell you to just go on a raw meat carnivore, which eliminates pretty much all the triggers which can cause you acne. But then what? You're constrained all your life. You can never eat, some fruit again or something like that. And even on a raw carnivore diet, you can still have a lot of issues. If your mite environment is messed up, EMF, you can still get acne from all those things if your mitochondria is messed up. So here is how you measure your redox potential. So right now, let's see if you have a good redox or not. So low libido or loss of libido, erectile dysfunction, you can't ejaculate properly. It's not a big quantity you ejaculate. This equals in the signs of a low redox potential. Then the quality of your hair, your nails, and skin, if they are bad, you can expect to have a leaky gut and leaky hairways, leading to respiratory issues when the redox potential dips lower. So if you have a bad redox, you will most likely also have bad breathing patterns. And a thing I noticed really well on my fingers, like right here on top of my fingers, I used to always have skin coming out. And it was very weird. Why is this happening to me? and it always used to be red and pop out the skin and get dry. It's so weird. And I noticed the more healthier I got, the least this problem happened. And just like that, it was a clear sign of bad redux. I struggled deep with this, man. I had the, lack of libido, lack of waking up with morning wood, gut issues like acid reflux, brain fog, acne everywhere. Literally, all the issues you can imagine, it's gonna come from a low redux because everything is connected. And so, just like that, it's so much easier to fix everything if you just focus on fixing your redux. And we're gonna get into that. For example, if you have cataracts, this is a big clue that your redux potential is low and your lifestyle is blue light toxic. Then, if you're spilling protein in your urine, which I did some blood tests and my urine was high in protein, which is not a good thing. I used to think, oh, this is good. That means I'm eating a lot of protein. But no, it's not good. Or you have memory loss, confusion, forget your words easily. This is also going to be from a low redux. Then your BAN and creatinine ratio is critical in this test to see if you have a low or good redux. When it is high, it indicates that your proteins and mitochondria lack reverse water micelles that facilitate energy transfer, which reduces the energy efficiency, which essentially what's going to come down to redux is having good energy efficiency and the energy stored to fight the inflammation. This ruins the zero entropy systems and causes you to have to make more ATP to open water binding sites on proteins. When ATP generation is low, you will crave carbs to offset this loss. There is also a clue that your redox is off. So if you're doing a carnivore diet, for example, and you crave carbs, this is a sign that your redox is low. And this is why we see so many people that have that carnivore full of like, having lack of energy, they can't build muscle, they lose muscle, all that stuff. It comes down from a low redox. They never fix the root cause. Once again, they just try to hide it. All we see in these modern health advice is just trying to hide symptoms, hide symptoms. You go to the dermatologist, they give you Accutane. Guess what? It just hides the symptoms. You stop taking it, you get acne back. You put skincare, it's hiding the symptoms. Then you do elimination diet, carnivore, raw meat diet, it's still hiding the problem. It was never fixed. And so just like that, we need to fix it, man. Now more science stuff that you need to do blood work to actually tell if you have a high redox or not, which I help all my clients to analyze their blood work and see if they're actually good in this or not. So for example, when LDL cholesterol goes below 200, your redox potential is usually low, and this is a sign that you are likely lacking the ability to store infrared spectrum light within your cells and water micelles. Cholesterol is a power molecule designed to be surrounded by water and energized by its ability to transfer electrons to the cholesterol. It, if it is not in a state of reduction, cholesterol can open the doors to hell inside your circulatory system. When your redox potential is high, DHA is high, and cholesterol becomes a life-saving protein. So essentially, cholesterol, you hear it, is such a bad thing. Yes, cholesterol will be a bad thing if your redox is bad. That's essentially what happens. If your redox is good, cholesterol will be literally a superpower. It helps you to increase your testosterone and so much more. Then there are other metrics to see if you have a good redox or not, but these are more advanced and require blood tests, saliva tests. So if you want help with this, DM me on Instagram or book a call in the description and we'll get that sorted. But then a more simple metric is dreaming. Dreaming is usually a good sign of redox. So if you don't remember your dreams, if you feel like you didn't dream, most likely that's bad redox. Perhaps you're dreaming you just don't remember. And practicing lucid dreaming is definitely a good thing to have good dream recall and make sure you have dreams and not a bad redox problem. Then another test that you can do, which was done by dentists, is using an electric pulp test. Using this thing right here that is placed on the tooth and along with conducting paste And so usually the patient's saliva or toothpaste acts as an electric conductor. The electric current is gradually increased until the patient signals a sensation, a sign of discomfort in the teeth. And so a low potential of redox tells us that this is pretty good if the sensation is consistent on every tooth. If you suddenly have like a strong sensation on one tooth, it means that you probably can have a low redox. Then, if you don't want to take this route, which is can be expensive, what you can do is just pick a simple lemon, squeeze it in your mouth, and if you suddenly start producing a lot of saliva, this can mean you have low redox. Now, you don't want to do this if you have dental issues, because this can just confuse you even more. So don't do it. But it's a good test to do just using a lemon, and if you don't have dental issues, okay? Then more advanced stuff, really more advanced, is doing a MRI and paying attention to these metrics right here. Now let's talk about how to improve your redox, which is really the most important thing. So you need to pay attention to sunsets and the sunrise and avoid artificial light at night and dim light. So even the smallest light can cause an effect on your circadian rhythm, which is going to affect your redox. And the brighter the light, the worse it's going to be. So you need to have good circadian rhythm. Then you need to eat a lot of DHA. So the quality of the collagen in your body is directly tied to your redox. And DHA is going to help you to improve your redox. And just like that, collagen is the main thing for clear skin. You know, collagen and fat is mainly what your skin is made out of. So if you have bad redox, you will have bad collagen. And so DHA, which is gonna come from high quality fish, okay? If you can't get fresh local fish, you can then do some farm fish, and then below farm fish you can do canned fish. But really, you should be getting the DHA, even if it's from canned fish. If you don't have the resources, go do it, man. Go eat some canned sardines. Every morning I eat some of it. So just like that, you need to get DHA. It's very important. And this is something you don't hear about in the health space. Like all you hear is people telling you to eat a lot of meat, eat meat, red meat, increase testosterone. Nobody talks about how important DHA is, which is really important for clear skin. Maybe more important than meat, to be honest with you. Then, because DHA is also going to protect you from EMFs. Then we have a low deuterium diet, which we're gonna get into what is deuterium and how to follow this diet. Then the grounding is also very important due to being aligned with the magnetic field of the earth. Then being in the sun, avoiding EMF, entering ketosis, which improves your redox potential. So this is gonna be mainly from fasting and doing a low carb diet, doing entering ketosis here. Then we have exercise and lowering stress. Pretty basic. So just like that, this is why people constantly talk about doing exercise, eating fish. Our parents always told us that. Then being in the sun. This is why, because it improves your redox, therefore makes you healthier. Then more advanced stuff to really improve your redox. If you are having really big issues with your redox, how to take it to the next level. We have Meyer cocktails, HBO therapy, infrared therapy. All of these will improve your redox. Then we have cold thermogenesis, which improves your redox potential. So essentially, doing cold showers, cold plunges, going in the ocean in the winter, because it improves the flow of electrons on the surface of water and proteins without any energy costs. So as I mentioned with the easy water, with the sunlight and with cold plunges, you can create energy between inside of your body without the energy costs of, for example, eating, where you have to digest. It takes a lot of energy to digest the food. Here it doesn't. This is why this information is gate kept, man. Then we have the Fourier effect, which is using warm and cold water. It is a great way to recharge a low redox potential, which is essentially doing rounds of like cold and then hot and then cold and hot. You do those sort of rounds. Then you have magnetico sleep pad, which is essentially a sleeping pad that you use, which allows you to avoid EMF as you're sleeping and be grounded. Now, you must pay attention to your potassium levels also to make sure you have good redox. And if you want to know more the science stuff behind this, you can read this right here so you know why it's important. So you gotta make sure you're having good potassium levels. If you do blood work and it's low, you gotta fix it. Okay, let's actually recap a bit of what we went over so that we can actually move forward into more actionable steps. So, life, right now I am alive. You are alive. The plants are alive. The animals. Why is that? Because there is movement of energy. Energy in and energy dissipating. That's what's happening. You're getting energy in your body and it's also coming out. That's what dictates life. When somebody dies, they no longer have energy inside of them. Energy isn't coming in anymore, and it's just dissipating. The body is dissipating. The energy is going to the floor until there's no more energy. So essentially, we have here light, which charges water, charges the battery. So water is the battery, and then we have magnetism, which is additional charging. It's also charging the battery, the water, and helps with the movement of electrons and protons and builds exclusion on water. So easy water. And then, just like that, light and magnetism are literally energy sources and information to the body. And so they help with electron and proton movement. They build exclusion zone on water, man. And so this is why people focus so much on food, man. Food, 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 food. But they don't understand that food is just mass. Food provides mass that is transformed into protons and electrons and electromagnetic energy, including infrared radiation produced by the mitochondria. So you eat this food, which is converted into protons and electrons, and you are able to get these electrons from the light, from magnetism. So just like that, it's gonna have a similar effect. It's gonna give you energy and also information to the body on the right processes to do. And so what effect do radio frequencies have on easy water? Radio frequencies diminish easy water. And from just a Google search, the AI which we confirm this right here. And so you should be avoiding EMF, RF, of course, which is coming from your phones, cell phone towers. When you plug in something in the charger, it's also going to be affecting you. You should be avoiding it. And so if you want to know more in depth on what exactly is easy water, you can watch this podcast, this conference of Gerald H. Polmack, which he really goes more in depth in this science stuff behind what is easy water. Okay, see you in the next model. We're gonna fix your deuterium issues, which are affecting your mitochondria and causing you energy deficiencies, which cause you skin issues, brain fog, low energy. Next module will solve that. Now let's talk about deuterium. What is deuterium and what impacts can this have on your health? Not only that, but we'll also go over how to optimize your metabolic water to the fullest, because it's literally the best water source your own body can have, since it's the body that produces it. It's going to be deuterium depleted, the right pH, no hormone disruptors in there, no microplastics, no heavy metals. It's going to be pure water. So we'll talk about how to optimize that. So before we get into more in-depth stuff, it's important that you watch this video right here that is from Harvard on the electron transport chain. This way you'll understand what are the four complexes inside this electron transport chain, and you'll understand also the hydrogen spinning gun, which will allow you to understand how the mitochondria works, which is very important to understand this. But if you don't want to get into this biochemistry stuff, you don't really care too much, you can just keep watching. But if you really want to understand like the science stuff behind this, then yes, it's important you watch this. But just keep in mind, if you're not going to watch this, just keep in mind that atoms are protons and neutrons and electrons spinning around the protons and neutrons. And usually, the more protons and neutrons, the more electrons spinning around. Okay, just keep this in mind so you understand what is in here. Okay, so here we have hydrogen basically shown. So we have three types of hydrogen. We have protium, which is going to be the same as hydrogen. Then we have deuterium, and then we have tritium. Tritium, you don't gotta worry about this because this is radioactive, so you're not gonna find this in nature naturally. So you don't gotta worry about this. But just understand here that deuterium has one neutron more than hydrogen. So hydrogen has one proton, zero neutrons, one electron, while deuterium has one proton, one neutron, one electron. So it is twice as heavier than normal hydrogen. And hydrogen is 99.98% of all hydrogen in our body. So you just gotta keep this in mind, is that deuterium is twice as heavier than hydrogen. Okay, keep that in mind. And so now with this in mind, I want you to understand this analogy. It's like, imagine there's a fat dude on an airplane, okay? And this fat dude, suddenly there's an emergency, everybody has to run. This fat dude just clogs the goddamn door, man. Or he's just stuck in the hallway, like he's just stuck here. Is this gonna help everybody to exit and have more safety? Or is this not helping? Of course, it's not helping because the dude is fat, he's blocking everything. And so this is literally how it works with deuterium. Okay, deuterium is gonna be blocking in excess the electron transport chain. Now I'm not gonna say deuterium is the worst thing in the world because deuterium is needed. Okay, deuterium contributes to stability. Since it is a heavier form of hydrogen, it may enhance the structural stability of molecules like collagen. So, for example, the oxtail of a cow is lower in deuterium than the food due to the collagen in there. The the food has more collagen than the oxtail, so it's gonna have more deuterium in there. And just like that, this is the importance of deuterium. Okay, the mitochondria doesn't like it, but it needs it to some degree. For example, the cytoplasm needs it, and the mitochondria is in the cytoplasm. But the deuterium necessarily inside the mitochondria isn't good. And so let's talk about how the deuterium is found in our day to day. Like, how does that work? So the deuterium is higher in Ecuador and lower as you go up or down. So in the Ecuador, you see here, like the Ecuador line is around here. This is gonna be higher in deuterium, these regions. As you go up, like you go to Sweden, it's gonna be a lot lower. You go down, it's also lower. So in the Ecuador, the deuterium is higher. And also inland, like over here in Kansas, Nebraska, it's gonna be lower in deuterium than in the coast. So California is gonna be higher in deuterium. This is because the deuterium is heavier. So when the water evaporates, it's in the sky, the deuterium is gonna fall first since it's heavier. Okay, and then higher altitudes is gonna also mean more depleted water, like volcanoes or mountains, because since the deuterium is heavier, it's gonna be harder for it to reach there. So the perfect spot to find the depleted water is going to be in the middle of Canada, where an altitude above 53, and you go 1,000 to 2,000 meters up, and you drink their river water. That is going to be around 60 to 90 million parts of deuterium. I'll explain in a second how this measurement works. But just like that, if you want the best natural deuterium depleted water, you go to this spot right here. Okay, so here are the side effects of high deuterium. Brain fog. More deuterium in the cytoplasm in the cells of the brain. This can be one factor of the brain fog, where it's coming from. Then heart disease, where more deuterium in the cells in the heart and circulatory system, so the cells lack energy efficiency. As we went over, the brain and the heart are the organs which need the most energy. If there's energy deficiency, those are gonna be the biggest organs affected. Then, in general, the mitochondrial dysfunction makes you higher in deuterium in the cells because you won't be able to clear out the deuterium, and you also will not make deuterium depleted water. So it has a snowball effect. If you have a mitochondrial dysfunction, you can't get rid of the deuterium, but you also can't produce water that is depleted in deuterium, the metabolic water. So it's really important that we fix this. And so more deuterium in the cells, man, it can literally mean more cell division, and more cell division it can lead to the C's disease. I don't want to say it, but you know what I'm talking about. It's written here. So people with this disease, their citric acid cycle, the TCA cycle, Krebs cycle, that isn't working, and that it's needed to create deuterium depleted water. So the mitochondria doesn't have this deuterium depleted water. And so these patients, it has been shown that this was a real study done, man. And these patients, they drank the deuterium depleted water and the tumors regressed. So they lived longer. And the mitochondria works again because he has the deuterium depleted water, which he didn't have access to due to these systems being off. And then you no longer have infinite cell division, but they did had to keep drinking it for life, or they died after 2 years because they just went back to these systems not working, so they died. And so if you know somebody with this disease right here, man, please let them know of this. Okay, this might save their lives. Then mitochondria makes water. This water is going to be based on what we eat, how healthy the mitochondria is, what kind of light we are under, because it's going to be giving information to the mitochondria. And so, for example, if you are eating fat and doing really well, you will create around 180 to 120 pm per minute water depleted metabolic water, which is really good. And so people who are eating a primal diet, high fat, and they feel amazing with it, this is most likely what's happening. And you need to understand, in a natural environment, you have low deuterium levels, okay? Because the sun balances it out. Like if you live close to the equator, because you have a lot more sun, your body is able to get rid of that deuterium a lot easier. Now, if you're in Sweden, for example, up there, and you're eating a high deuterium diet, like you're eating bananas and coconuts from the tropics, which doesn't make sense because naturally you would not have access to those. They have high amounts of deuterium. So you're gonna be up there with high deuterium, and you don't have the environment to deplete that deuterium. That's where issues appear. And so artificial light equals high deuterium levels. It's a measuring tool on how well your mitochondria is working and how you're doing metabolically. Deuterium slows down the ATP synthesis molecular motor and sometimes even breaks it and the cells die like just like EMF does the same effect. So if you have that fat dude in the airplane, you have deuterium everywhere, which is heavier, blocking all the electron chain transport, like you're just blocking all of that, bam, the cell ends up dying. Okay, so let's get into how this measurement works. Like, how do we measure deuterium? So PM means parts per million. So, for example, out of 1 million hydrogen, you will have 155 deuterium. Let's say the 155 pm is the water. It's going to be out of 1 million hydrogen, 155 is deuterium. And this is high, okay? This is high. So deuterium depleted water, it's at 20 pm. And so just like that, this deuterium depleted water, which is 20 parts per million, this is going to be such a huge tool because you will help drastically the mitochondria. It's like you going in there and giving it a handout. Hey mitochondria, here's some of the stuff that you produce and you need to have good energy efficiency. Here's some of it, man. You're just giving him that push. You're helping him out a lot. Now, if you have 130 million parts of deuterium in your body, you don't really need this. But if you live in a 5G tech world, you're around a lot of EMF, then yes, you need this. And if you have high amounts of deuterium in your body. So drink 135 million parts of deuterium water. This is very good. It's amazing because this is literally the water that your mitochondria produces. It's around this 135. So if you drink this, it's great. Okay, and here's a more in-depth deuterium intake formula that you can use to calculate your situation and how much should you be drinking and the quantities you should be drinking. So if you're in a very severe state, like with that disease disease and everything, then yes, you should really take into account these and calculate your for your own specific situation. If you also struggle with acne, brain fog, yes, this will help you a lot. So just like that, here's a more general framework on how to prepare this deuterium depleted water. So you want to pick your natural spring water. Okay, just have some good high quality spring water that is local, and then add your deuterium depleted water. One third of your deuterium depleted water is going to be out of the total one third, and so you just mix it. Okay, you don't want to drink the entire deuterium depleted water in one way, in one go. No, you want to mix one third into the normal spring water. And so most people should be drinking around 130, 120 because this is what your mitochondria makes. And if you don't feel differences drinking this, then you were probably fine in terms of your deuterium levels, your environment was good, you didn't really need it. But it's always good to try because this is not going to harm you. It can only help you. And if you have the disease disease, man, you're really in a really bad situation or you're an older person, you should be adding and drinking around 80 to 90 deuterium depleted water. That's your goal. Okay, so how does food correlate with deuterium? Because it's important to talk about this. So food in general follows the hydrogen cycle of the environment. So just like that, if the water on the rain is 140 deuterium, it has 140 parts per million of deuterium, then the tomatoes that grow with that rain, or you water them with that same water, the tomatoes are also going to be 140. Okay, it's as simple. And so we can assume that the deuterium in food in Sweden, like up there, it's going to be a lot lower in deuterium than in the tropics. And this is why you gotta eat locally, man. This is why you must eat locally. If you're in Sweden eating fruits from the tropics, you're gonna be screwed. And it's not just fruits, because even meat, the protein, the muscle meat, this is gonna be it is going to have deuterium because the cow is eating the food that has deuterium. It's going to be converted into the cow. Now, fat is a different story because fat is deuterium depleted, and this is why it wins carbs. Like people debate on carbs over meat, on fat. No, fat always wins because it is deuterium depleted. So if you don't have access to local food, if you're eating fat, you won't have these deuterium issues because the fat is deuterium depleted. But if you're eating meat from Brazil in Sweden, now this can be a problem because the meat in Brazil is going to be higher in deuterium than the meat normally in Sweden. And so, and also you might think, oh, I just gotta cook the meat and the deuterium goes away. Like, when I cook my steak, it reduces the water that's in there. Doesn't work like that. Cooking the meat does not significantly reduce the deuterium content. And so this is why people do great when they stick with a fat diet, with a high fat diet and low carbs, because the body filters deuterium during the breakdowns of fat. Therefore, the water produced metabolically is deuterium depleted water. You see how that goes, man? So fat is not going to have that issue, but still, even fat in Sweden will be lower in deuterium, like normal general rule. And here's in terms of food, like grains. they are higher in deuterium because of carbohydrate content, because of carbs. While grass-fed, grass salads are deuterium depleted because of the photosynthesis of the plants, and therefore it has no deuterium. And so, just like that, cows that eat grass-fed, they will be low deuterium. A cow that eats low deuterium and eats low deuterium is gonna be low deuterium. A cow that eats glucose, grains, is gonna be higher in deuterium. And the same thing with humans. If you're eating a cow high in deuterium, it's gonna convert into you. If you're eating grains which are high in deuterium, it's gonna happen the same with you, man. It's a simple process. And so carbs plus protein follow hydrology cycle. If water in the environment is 140, they will also be. So fruit is higher in deuterium, keep that in mind. So as I said, coconut water in Germany makes absolute no sense. And you see all these Lux Maxers like, oh, I got a deep bloat, coconut water, man. And they're in Germany drinking coconut water, completely clueless that they're wrecking their mitochondria. It doesn't make sense. You are in the Arctic and you're eating bananas also. Like, I live in Portugal. There's no bananas in here, but my mom somehow has bananas in the kitchen, because you get it from the supermarket. But guess what? The supermarket is not something natural. You would not have that in nature. So the sun helps depleted deuterium, helps deplete deuterium by sweating and creating metabolic water to support mitochondrial function despite deuterium. So why you have fruit in sunny countries and seasons? So, the environment is completely God has created the world in such beautiful way, man. Because everything makes sense. You are close to the equator, you have access to fruits. Oh, the fruits are high in deuterium. But guess what? You have the sun to help you get rid of that deuterium and produce metabolic water that is deuterium depleted despite eating the, high deuterium fruits. So it all balances it out, man. The issue is when we add artificial stuff that wasn't meant to be there, and therefore it makes everything go off. That's how it works. And so if you live in Sweden, you gotta eat locally. And what is eating locally, for example, in Sweden? It's gonna be meat. Okay, so in a primitive state in Sweden, what would we eat? Meat, then fish, then some berries, maybe some mushrooms that could be available. Then you could preserve some food, some meat, some eggs, some a little bit of some roots or something, and then water. That's it. There is no rice in here. There is no pasta. There is no fruits like bananas, coconut water. None of that is here. So if you live in Sweden and you're eating those foods, you can expect yourself to get wrecked, man. It's that simple. So it's very important that you eat locally due to this deuterium factor. If you have high amounts of deuterium, remember the fat guy is gonna clog the goddamn airplane and everything is gonna get screwed up and people are gonna die in there because they can't leave the goddamn airplane. That's exactly what happens in your mitochondria due to the hydrogen, deuterium being more heavier than the hydrogen. So just like that, man, we covered everything needed for the Deuterium. See you in the next module. We'll cover more in-depth actionable steps to have the best water possible to thrive, man. Let's talk about making or finding great water so you can have the best mitochondrial function as possible. And therefore, you don't have issues with your skin, brain fog, acid reflux, none of that. Okay, so we need to understand what is great water. So great water is going to come down to optimized for electron density. The more electrons, the better. And so water in nature is great at this because it is grounded, there's no pollution, it has no artificial light, no, it's under the sun getting UV light, it is cold, and just like that, it's charged up with negative charge, so full of electrons. And so this is why spring water is always going to win against reverse osmosis. Because reverse osmosis is just dead water coming from your sink. It got no UV, it is not cold, it's not grounded. And just like that, it also has no minerals because of the reverse osmosis. And just like that, it's just plain dead water. Okay, there's not gonna be many electrons in there as we wanted. And so just like that, let's go through how to actually create the best water, how to find it, even if you are in a city where you're forced to use reverse osmosis. So you need to understand good water involves these three factors. It involves structure, bacteria, and minerals. Okay? And so with this in mind, some good waters that you can use and drink are Pellegrino, Vichy Catalan, and these are some really good waters, but if you can find some local spring water, that will do the job. Okay, if it's local and it's spring water, that's good. So you then can experiment with potassium, sodium, magnesium, and experiment with these electrolytes to see what is the optimal blend for you, because it's going to be different for each person depending on what are your deficiencies or what you have in excess, depends. And then you want to drink in a glass or PBA free bottles. You don't want microplastics, of course. And then, should I drink alkaline water or low pH? What do I do? So easy is alkaline, like easy water in your body is alkaline. So you naturally want to drink alkaline water. So if you have the choice between alkaline or not alkaline, you go for the alkaline. But this is assuming that the pollution and the deuterium are the same in each water. So the alkaline factor is not such a big deal. Yes, if you can go for the alkaline water, go for that, but it's not going to be such a big deal. It's more important the factors of pollution like heavy metals in the water, microplastics, and the deuterium levels. That's more important. Okay, so these are some good water choices, and you need to drink water according to the environment. Okay, so if you live in a city, go to spring.org and find some good spring water. You know, if you drink water according to your environment, you're gonna drink naturally water with the deuterium that you should be drinking. If you live in Sweden, if you drink, spring water that is natural there, it's gonna be lower in deuterium, which is what you should be drinking in your environment. And so if you have a reverse osmosis, you should be adding some sodium and some electrolytes in your water to add minerals. As I mentioned, a good factor to great water is minerals. So you need to add that in because with the reverse osmosis, that's not going to be there. And so you should be adding sodium to taste. You should not be, I'm gonna add 20 grams or something. No, just add in the water until it feels good. If it feels like it's too much water, then remove salt. If it feels like it's not a lot, then you can add more. The goal with adding salt and sodium is simply to mimic the natural water because water has sodium in it, but it's not like visible, it's just in there. And you are adding sodium to kind of mimic that. You should not be overdoing, right? So, salt to taste, and only use sea salt, only full of minerals. So, no rock salt or refined salt. Refined salt is that one that looks like sugar. It's sodium chloride. It's just, it's the one you find at most restaurants where it's like table salt. That's not good. Here are some good salts that you can use. You have Floridacell, Malden, Antarctica salt, probably the best one. You have Urtetran, Atlantic sea salt, and you have Celtic, which has been shown to be high in heavy metals. So be careful with that one. If you have a heavy metal problem, you should not be going for this one. And now let's talk about bacteria, which is another factor to great water. Bacteria. And so, for example, raw milk, kefir, and Vili, which is this yogurt thing which has some great bacteria in it, is not talked about a lot online. You don't see this, but this is some. It's similar to kefir. It's just some other bacteria that you add in milk, and it turns into yogurt in like 1 to 2 days. So just like that, this is the perfect blend in terms of the bacteria. You have the structure with the raw milk, you have the minerals, and you have bacteria. So just like that, this is gonna be a great hydration source if you don't have issues with dairy. Okay, if you have acne, you should not be doing raw milk. Like you should not. Oh, but raw milk makes me taller, all this stuff. No, if you're having issues, don't drink it. Simple as that. Because if you're with getting acne, that shows your gut is messed up, that the inflammation is high. You drinking that and you get more acne, you think, oh, it's detoxing me. No, it's not. It's causing you more issues. So you should not be doing it. And of course, you should be always doing A2 raw dairy, so raw milk from A2 cows, goats, not pasture raised, grass fed cows, of course. Always high quality. And so, just like that, with these, you have the greatest hydration because you have the structure, minerals, and bacteria. You can do raw milk with kefir. You can also do villi in it, which is another bacterium. And so, just like that, all you have to be cautious with this is if it comes from an unhealthy animal that has food with agrochemicals, is always eating nonsense, the chemicals are going to be detoxed through the milk. And so just like that, and they're also going to be behind deuterium, the milk, because it's going to be used as a detoxification process. So just like that, if you're drinking the milk, all that garbage is going to be into you. The chemicals and the deuterium levels. So be careful. The next step to add bacteria in your water, and I understand this can be a bit disgusting, but it's worth to mention, which is spitting in your water. And you might think it's gross, which I guess kind of is, but you're literally adding in your own bacteria, which you are gonna swallow anyway. And by spitting in that water, it's like it's fermenting. It's kind of like when you add some kefir into the raw milk or some villi. You're adding bacteria to this, which are gonna multiply and like it's gonna be better for your gut because it's healthy bacteria. The same thing is with your spit. If you have healthy bacteria in your mouth, which you most likely do because it's your own body, your own body controls that. Therefore, if you spit in the water, it's not gonna be an issue. Okay, so the only factor with this is that it can be a bit disgusting. And I've heard people who ferment raw milk in spit too. They spit in the raw milk and it ferments with their own bacteria. So that can also be done. Now, here is some other bacteria that you can add if you don't want to spit into your water or you can't drink A2 dairy, you have issues with acne. So you can do sauerkraut juice, which is fermented vegetables juice, very good. And then you can also do water kefir. So this is kefir that you add in the. It's not the same as the kefir you add in the raw milk. This one is specifically for water. So these bacteria grow in the water. Or you can also drink kombucha, which is a really great drink that you can find in supermarkets also, which is made out of fruits and it has this thing called Scooby, which is a bacteria that is in here, like eating the sugar. And so, therefore, you're drinking these kind of like lemonade or strawberry juice, which has no sugar, which is great because you don't want sugar in your food, of course. So, just like that, this is also a good way for healthy bacteria in your, hydration. Now, let's talk about structuring the water. Here are some good ways to structure the water. If you're drinking reverse osmosis, you need to be doing this. You need to vortex the water. You can buy one of these things right here, which vortex it for you. And you can also put the water next to your heart and speak good things to it. I know that's weird, but that's something that Masuro Emoto studied a lot, which is the structure of water reflects like emotions, man. Water can store emotions. That's why when you think of a certain memory, you can remember the feeling of being in there because the water in your body stores it, can store emotions. And so just like that, these are images of like you speaking to the water and you, for example, say I love you or peace or you insult it like you fool. And just like that, you then froze the water and you look into a microscope and you see the structure of it. Look at the difference in a I love you, in your fool, you fool man. Just like that, the water can feel the frequency and it really has the structure of it. Like this is insane, man. So just like that, you can try this. Okay, you can speak into it and put it next to your heart because your heart is gonna be projecting those frequencies. And if you want to know more in depth, you can study Masuro Emoto. And you can also do this with your raw milk. It also works. Now, how to drink water? This is a big mistake people do. They just think, oh, I need to drink eight cups of water a day. That's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. You need to drink the water which your body tells you to drink. Your body is gonna tell you, man. It's gonna warn you. And so if you just pick up a bottle of water and you start chugging, you're gonna be overdoing. You're not letting your body tell you, okay, I've got enough, stop, stop. No, you're not. And so just like that, you're gonna drink more than your body needs, and then it's gonna send to the kidneys and you're gonna pee it. That's why if you drink a lot of water before you go to bed, you're gonna, wake up in the middle of the night. So what you want to do instead is sip the water slowly, just small little sips until you just don't want to drink more. You'll find that you'll drink a lot less water than if you're just chugging. Like you'll find if you do these things, if you drink correctly, you're gonna drink so much less water than you should than you would, man. So when to drink it? When to drink water? When you feel the need, when you crave it. It's that simple. And hydration with fruits. Should I be drinking coconut water, stuff like that? If you live in the tropics, in countries where it's local, coconuts, then yes, you can drink. If you're training a lot, like Mai Tai in Thailand, yes, go drink some coconut water because you're in the environment which promotes that, which you have the capability to get rid of the deuterium through the sun. And so just like that, you can drink some coconut. Of course, you don't overdo it because it's gonna be high in deuterium. It has 156 parts per million. Your goal is to have 130, is to drink uh, water and have hydration through this, 130. So 156 is a lot. But if it's occasionally and you're in the right environment, it's not going to be a big issue. Now, if you're in Sweden, should you be drinking this? Of course not. And so that's why the rule of thumb is to really only eat the fruit and drink the fruit which you can pick up. So if you have a avocado tree next to you, you can eat some avocados. If you have oranges in the winter in your country, like in Portugal, yes, you can eat some oranges. Now, if you live in some other country which doesn't, no, you should not be eating them. That's simple. And also, if you're the one picking up the fruit, you know if it has pesticides and all that nonsense. Now, here are some things that dehydrate you. It's important to talk about that because a lot of the times it's about what you do not do than what you do. It's more important that. So, things that dehydrate you: EMF and pollution. Here's an explanation on how EMF, messes you up and dehydrates you. Because it reduces your cytochrome C in the electron transport chain. And just like that, it's here proven that it causes you effects in here. And if there's effects in here, you will not produce the right water. Okay? So just like that, if you want to go more in depth on why, you read this. Then how can I energize the water? Okay, get some infrared light and put the water in the sun or red light therapy. That's what you do to increase the electrons in the water. And you can also drink this water that has been exposed to the red light environment, the infrared light, or you take a shower with it. Like look at this guy right here. He's taking a shower with the infrared light hitting the water, which is then going to be observed by skin. Your skin observes everything. If the water that it's touching you is low quality, it's going to affect you. And so this increases electron density in the water. You create exclusion zone water, proved by Gerald Pollack. If you want to study him, because this theory right here, if you go to ChatGPT, it will probably tell you that you're wrong. And funny enough, I went to Gemini and I was asking him this. And guess what was his answer? He said the content was too harmful or something like that. Like he didn't answer me. He would just say, "Oh, this is off topic. Can't talk about it." Just like that, he was hiding it. So just like that, you gotta study Gerald Pollock to understand why this is actually true. If you ask, ChatGPT will tell you it's not real, and so that's why I don't really trust ChatGPT. I think that asking advice for ChatGPT is a bit stupid because he will just tell you what you want to hear. Like you ask him, "Oh, I'm having acne. What should I eat?" And he will tell you, eat this. When he will never tell you that the issue can be coming from EMF or artificial light that's messing up your mitochondria. ChatGPT will not tell you that. That's why I don't use ChatGPT, man. I use real life coaching that of people that have achieved the results I want. Then you can also cool the water, which creates infrared gradients, builds EZ. So you put the water in the fridge, and the infrared is escaping, it's going to the sides in the water, and just like that, this creates the movement, which creates EZ. So cold water has more energy. That's the summary. Drink cold water. You should be drinking cold to medium water, like room temperature water. Never warm. Like you should not be drinking warm water. Just cold or room temperature. And then vortex your water. You're fusing oxygen with the water, which is great. So just like that, a great biohacking tactic is to shine red light in cool water while you take a shower. This is gonna give you those electrons. Then, in terms of shower filters, because we need to make sure we aren't getting, tap water on our skin. Our skin absorbs everything, man. If you shower with bad water, no wonder you have dry skin. Okay, so this is a great shower filter that you can get on Amazon. Really good. And then the ultimate hack is to take cold showers and go to the sun. This will equal for you to absorb more vitamin D because when your skin is cooler, you absorb more light. This is why we love the goddamn beach, man. Everybody on earth loves the beach. Even in a country like Portugal or, upper latitude, the water is gonna be so much colder. But guess what? People still go to the beach and people love it. Average person that stays all day inside wants to go to the beach because the cold water allows them to absorb more vitamin D, which literally makes people more happy. And also, the sun hitting your eyes makes you happy too. So just like that, man, this is the ultimate hack for goddamn good, healthy mitochondria is to take cold showers and get vitamin D in. Okay, go get some sunlight. That's it, my man. These were the actionable steps for the great water hydration. Let's talk about what detoxing actually is, because a lot of people have confusion over this. They think that they should be drinking 10 spinach juices a day and putting turmeric and lemon and all this stuff. And some other think, oh, I should be drinking raw milk, it's gonna help me to detox. You need to understand detox is when things that were in your body that weren't supposed to be there leave. This is the definition of detoxing. And so, with this in mind, acne is not a detox process. There is a limiting belief that you have, or brain fog, or feeling tired and having sleep issues, or having to tissue yourself every time, or gut issues, gut pain. This is not a detox, none of this. Because this is all a cope. And it doesn't mean you're actually healthy because you are releasing toxins. Like that's what I used to tell myself. I used to tell myself, "Oh, me having acne, this is actually healthy because my body is detoxing toxins. Therefore, it's not affecting my organs or something." That was a lie. What is actually going on here is just eye inflammation and leaky gut, for example. Depends on the root cause. But the truth is, something is going on and something is wrong because a primitive man in a natural environment would not have acne. And they still are around toxins and they still detox from them, but they would not have acne. So this is an inflammation issue. And so, greatest state of health equals greatest energy efficiency. This is what good health looks like. When we remove harmful stuff, like we detox, we become more energy efficient, which causes better energy, better sleep, better skin, breathing better, better mood. So you see how it's counter opposite. If you detox, you have better energy efficiency. Therefore, you should have better skin, not acne. That doesn't make sense. So here are some things that make you less energy efficient. We have air pollution, pesticides like glyphosate, BPAs and microplastics, dioxins like bleached paper, alcohol, seed oils, heavy metals, all these stuff are gonna make you less energy efficient. So detox versus illusion. You don't change anything in the environment, you feel good, and then you get diarrhea, a flu, a cold, mucus in the throat. This is detox because no variable change. This is what actually detox is. Is it detoxing or not? That's the number one step. That's what we need to ask ourselves. Like after we get a symptom like diarrhea, flu, acne, or anything like that, we must ask, is this detoxing or not? And by knowing this, like by seeing, okay, did I change any variable? So is this detox or not? Then we know if there's an issue to fix or not in the first place. And so let's actually see what evolution would look like when it comes down to detoxing. For example, leaky gut can also cause more inner damage. For example, you are drinking raw milk and you get acne, diarrhea, and you think it's detoxing, but it's actually causing you even bigger issues, you having this stuff because of the leaky gut. It's literally reinforcing the issues. And if you just added this new variable, which is raw milk, and you got acne from it, it's not a detox. It's simply the raw milk causing you acne, causing you these issues. So with leaky gut, you have small perforations in the small intestine, a leaky gut which penetrates, which creates pollution from the food you eat. So with leaky gut, you might be eating healthy, but that food is damaging you even more. Common symptoms with leaky gut is arthritis. This is undigested food particles are exiting through the skin. They also accumulate in the skeletal system slash joints. So if you have knees popping and knees problems, this can come from toxins, excess toxins in those stored around the joints because that's where they get stored. And leaky gut is gonna give you that. So if the body knows that if we detox, it will cause more damage than storing it, then it stores it. But if it knows it doesn't take much energy and it will be worse to store, then it detoxes. So that's what the body does. If it sees that detoxing is the best way, he does it. But if he sees that detoxing will cause more damage than storing it, he will store it. And that's why you develop that stuff around the joints. So you need to understand to fix this stuff, you need energy. Your body requires energy in order to detox from these things. And because why do we need energy? Because water holds energy, water in your body, and you're made out of 60% of water. So the more charged your water is, the easy water, the better, because you can take electrons from it. You need more quality water in you to hold more energy. That's the goal. So you need to focus on hydration, which we have covered many times in here. And this is going to lead to high redox. High redox equals high charge in the water. And healthy people have low redox, and so they have low libido, are sensitive to anything. As soon as they eat something, they get acne, brain fog, and they live in constant pain, like I used to lately. And so sunlight charges the water, increases your redox. UV light gives you melanin, which protects you from heavy metals because they bind into them. By the way, I wrote redox wrong here and here. I don't know why, man, but ignore it. Microorganisms. This is another thing to keep in mind. Small intestine bacteria growth like SIBO, Candida, yeast problem because you were exposed to something like glyphosate and yeast. It's doing its role, or you ate a ton of sugar and killed probiotics. This is what these issues come from. And so, things like your hair are actually able to detox. You're detoxing heavy metals through the air. This is why shaving your head is not necessarily a good idea. If you do a buzz cut, you don't fully shave your hair, but still, this is why our body literally wants to grow the hair. Then skin can also detox from there, like it will cause the SIBO, Candida. Then your erectum and pee will be detox mechanisms. Then the nose, airwax, bile, all this stuff will be used to detox. Then understand EMF dehydrates you, as we have went over in the EMF fixing the environment section. So you gotta avoid EMF to have good water, to have good energy. Then elevated hematocrit and hemoglobin and burn and to creatine ratio is like a 20 to 1 is low, and you should have and above is also low, like above 20 to 1. So you're probably dehydrated in this section. So your goal should be closer to 7 1 and 10 1, this is good. With these metrics right here in your blood results. So good hydration equals good redox equals good natural detox. Man, I wrote redox wrong. God damn it. You get my point. So let's keep going. So magnetism and DMSA, Dr. Dean Honvey works to remove heavy metals. So this is stuff from Dr. Dean. Okay, around this stuff, this will help you to detox heavy metals. Then iodine consumption to detoxify halogens and protect you from radiation. Seafood and consuming natural clays is also good for this. Then increasing your redox. We went over this already, but just to remind you, sunlight exposure, cold exposure, mitochondria increases heat, infrared light, which then recycles this energy. It's like you have small suns inside of you, literally. And so then the liver is also really good to detox. It runs two phases. Phase one modifies toxins, often via enzymes. Then phase two binds them to make them easier to leave the body. What actually supports this detox naturally? Adequate protein, okay, you need amino acids, enough calories, micronutrients like zinc, selenium, B vitamins, hydration, and good bowel regularity. Then ADL is a measure on how well the liver is functioning and filtering the blood. LDL is about how much you can get cholesterol to other hormones like DHEA, progesterone, vitamin D3. All of these should be above 60 mg milligrams. They help detoxify because they travel in blood and can bind into toxins, therefore getting rid of them. So you need sunlight, UV, nutrient-dense diet, high fat, seafood for DHA. You need all these things. Then you need lower deuterium levels for better mitochondria and to make better metabolic water. So if you live closer to the equator, the more okay is to have higher deuterium because of the sun. And then you gotta eat locally and seasonal, especially if you're in high latitude. Then cold exposure plus sunlight to get rid of the deuterium, to of the excess deuterium. Then replace minerals like wheatgrass, kelp, seaweeds, or Celtic salt. These are really good for minerals. And the best detox is not needing to detox. Understand that. So no processed food, no hormone disruptors, no polyester. Switch to healthy stuff. So just like that, we covered how to actually have the best detox ever, which is simply improving your redux and avoiding all the nonsense in our day-to-day society, which is causing you issues in the first place, and lowering your energy efficiency. That's the number one goal. If you have good energy efficiency, you will have good detox. Your body is able to detox naturally, man. You don't gotta overthink too much. And anybody that is going on and telling you to do all these crazy juices with spinach, raw milk to detox, they are pretty much lying to you in a way because the main focus, the 20% of the action which will get you 80% of the result, is fixing your redux, which will get you better energy efficiency and therefore be able to detox better because that requires energy, right? So that's how you fix this stuff. See you in the next one. I hope you're ready, my friend, because we are about to go through a full guide to EMFs. And you might think, man, this isn't true. This stuff that I can't see isn't even affecting me that much. Who cares? Well, that's what we're gonna go over. We're gonna go over how do EMFs impact your health and how can this be causing you acne, brain fog, and taking you away from your fullest potential. So just like that, the first thing you need to understand is that EMFs stand for electromagnetic fields. And so we have electro and we have magnetic. And this is energy that travels through space as light. And so electric fields are these vertical waves right here. It moves like this, and the magnetic field moves on the horizontal waves, as you can see. And wavelength is the distance of this point to this point. If it's bigger, it's gonna have a bigger wavelength. Okay, so with this in mind, you need to understand that our body utilizes these mechanisms, these processes, the processes in the body are going to utilize this. So, for example, with electricity, This is the flow of energy in your body. It's how your brain sends text messages to your muscles to make them move. With magnetism, this is the force of attraction and repulsing. It's what holds atoms together so they just don't fall apart. You right now, you are seated on a chair. You are not, touching the chair, like your atoms aren't touching the atoms of the chair. Without magnetism, everything would just collapse and you would fall apart and get together with the chair and you would die, most likely. So that's why we need magnetism. For example, the heartbeat of your heart uses an electrical signal to tell it when to pump. And if you have no electricity, you literally die. You can't, your heart stops beating. Then the brain. Your thoughts are actually tiny electrical impulses jumping between cells. So you need these mechanisms in order to survive. Keep that in mind. And if you want to understand more about the science stuff behind this, you can study Feynman's work, since he's the man who discovered a lot of stuff in this field right here. So, yes, if you want to understand more about the science stuff, you can study him. Now, with this in mind, what is a molecule? Okay, a molecule is an electrical neutral group of atoms joined together by chemical bonds. Okay, as you can see some examples here. And a stable molecule is going to be a molecule that has the same amount of protons and electrons. So the positive charge is going to be the same as the negative charge, protons and electrons. And just like that, this is a stable molecule. Now, if this molecule loses or gains an electron, the balance is broken and it becomes an ion. Okay, so too many electrons, it becomes negatively charged. Too few electrons, it becomes positively charged. So we lose the balance. And so with this, an ion with more negative energy or positive charges wants to give or take electrons, and it might try to steal an electron from your DNA. This is the issue with ions. If a molecule loses an electron or gains an electron, it's going to become an ion and it's going to try to steal an electron from DNA. And this is a big issue because you don't want your DNA damaged, right? Now, this is what happens with iodizing radiation. Things like X-rays, radioactive energy, as you can see here in the ionizing energy, this is gonna literally damage your DNA. That's the issue with this stuff. And we already know it. It's like common knowledge. When you go to do an X-ray, they put some copper stuff, I believe, in your balls, for example, so you don't lose fertility. So just like that, with that in mind, you now understand why these things are unhealthy to you because they literally damage your DNA. And for example, in Chernobyl, where that radioactive center exploded, the reason why they had to evacuate everybody is because if that radiation got in touch with people, their DNA would get damaged, they would get diseases like the C disease, and their children would be born with like three arms or something since the DNA was damaged. And now you might say, oh, then we're chilling because phones, microwaves, power lines, all of this is non-ionizing, so we're chilling, okay? It's not gonna be bad for us. Not really. Well, that's the point that science says, man. Oh, Wi-Fi is not that dangerous; it's low frequency. But still, even if you go on Google and you search if it's dangerous, he will tell you, yes, it has some potential long-term low-level radiation has a potential long-term issues, which can be oxidative stress, reproductive health, brain function, and all these exposure accumulated. That's where the issue is, because it can be low level, but a lot of it's not good. And not only this, okay, not only this basic information, let's go more in depth. How do EMFs affect us? So inside our body, we have these voltage gated calcium channels. As you can see, in these channels, let in and out calcium. And these channels only open when the body sends a signal. Okay? And this happens, the body sends this signal when we are under stress, when we enter a fight or flight, like we're running from a goddamn tiger or something. These calcium gates open so that, for example, our muscles contract instantly and we can jump like instantly, or it floods our heart cells to make them beat faster and harder, pumping blood to our legs so we can run faster. It sharpens our focus and we think a lot quicker. This is why these calcium gates open in this fight or flight state. And so the normal process is simple. Okay, fight or flight, there's a lion there, gates open, action, let's run, gates close, okay, we're chilling. This is the normal process. But with EMF, something different happens. Calcium efflux, that's what happens. And so the EMF opens the gate artificially, causing calcium to flood in. And the cells reacts as if it was under stress. So just like that, you are mimicking a fight or flight stress mode when it's not really needed. And this is not good. Because if you're always under stress, this will also happen. Constant emotional stress or oxidative stress can get those gates stuck open and become leaky. And so this causes calcium to flood in the cells where it doesn't belong. Because too much calcium inside the cells creates nitric oxide, which can lead to inflammation. This is why some people say that EMF makes them feel stressed. It's literally because of this. And so with this nitric oxide that is created due to the calcium being flooded in there, what happens is that this nitric oxide is going to get batched in the cytochrome C oxidase. What is this, you might ask? So as you can see here in the electron transport chain, we have here the cytochrome C oxidase right here in the complex form. And this is the phase where we produce metabolic water. Now, if nitric oxide is going to get clogged in here, if oxygen can't get in because it's clogged, you can't create water without this oxygen. Plants, they get CO2, they get water, sunlight, and they create sugar and oxygen. While us humans, we have sugar, fat that we eat, we have oxygen that we breathe, and just like that, we create energy with ATP, we create water, metabolic water, and we create CO2 in our body. If we are messed up, with this is clogged right here, we can produce metabolic water. And just like that, this is gonna lead you to dehydration. You stop making water inside of your cells. Even if you're drinking a bunch of water, that doesn't work because your cells aren't producing the metabolic water. Then you get free radicals. So the exhaust engine that builds up in there, like it's clogged, it isn't running clean. Okay, it isn't working well. So these are the free radicals that damage your DNA. Like it starts to build up free radicals. And then it causes you fatigue. Because your mitochondria is so tired, it's clogged up, the mitochondria can literally die. This is why EMF exposure is often linked to feeling draining or foggy, because your mitochondria is getting so damaged to the point of even dying. And this is how EMF makes you age faster. Because since the exit is clogged by nitric oxide, the electrons get stuck, they have nowhere to go, so they leak out of the chain. And when these electrons leak, they grab onto nearby oxygen and create dangerous molecules, like these ones right here. And this is the first sparks, man. Okay, the first sparks, like hydroxyl radical. This is the most dangerous one. For example, it's like a tiny grenade that rips through your cell membranes and DNA, and just like that, it will damage everything around it. And to replace the cells that die from this fire, your body has to use up stem cells. And stem cells, this is going to cause rapid aging because the more EMF stress you have, the faster you have to burn through your backup cells. This is literally the biological definition of aging right here, where your cells are dying and then they're reproducing again with the stem cells. But the cells aren't going to reproduce as better as they were. Like he gets a little bit of damage, and just like that, you age. You now became a bit weaker, and then it does the same process again, and then you get a bit weaker and more weaker, and that's why old people, don't have the best skin in the world because the cells are always, dying and reproducing, and then you it doesn't always come with the same quality as before. I believe our entire body is different 6 months in 6 months. I'm not sure if it's 6 months, but I believe we die, like our cells die and they reproduce again, and in like 6 months we have an entire new body. If it's not 6 months, it's like 2 years. I'm not sure, to be honest. So the brain connection mentions the concern regarding glioblastoma, which are brain tumors, since the brain is the most electrical organ. Holding a high EMF device to your head, man, targets the very area where this electron clogging is the most dangerous. So just like that, if you're taking phone calls with your phone on your head, man, what are you doing? You are just exposing your brain to goddamn EMF right there. Because EMF doesn't only come from the router of your Wi-Fi, no, it's coming from your phone. And I had chemistry, and my teacher, man, I remember my teacher that teaches this stuff. She even said that she does not take phone calls next to her ear. Like she said, "Oh, I always wear headphones, wired headphones. I never put the phone next to me because, I just know this has problems. The science says it's safe, but I just know this isn't good. Like it can't be constantly exposing your brain to this." So just like that, even my chemistry teacher said this. And she also said that when she used the microwave, she'd always, get away from the microwave because of the radiation, the microwave radiation coming from it. Okay, so and also, if you're putting your phone next to your balls in your goddamn pocket, you can expect to develop something like varicocele, or if you're a woman, PCOS. Okay, you can expect those things. You are literally destroying your reproductive system right there. And also, you're not getting any sunlight in there, most likely. It's literally the perfect combination to get varicocele or PCOS, man. Now let's go over the spectrum right here. As you can see, we have the different wavelengths that I mentioned before, and we'll go over like the how to measure this stuff. But for example, Wi-Fi, cell signals, and microwave ovens all live in the radio frequency. They are all in the radio frequency right here. And so, for example, a microwave oven, it uses a massive amount of power, like 1000 watts, to make water molecules flip back and forth billions of times per second. And just like that, this friction creates heat. That's why when you put food in the microwave, it heats up. It's not some goddamn magic, man. And so in a cell phone, the power is gonna be lower, like 2 watts. It isn't enough to cook you or boil your water because you are made out of water 60%. Like this radiation from the phone isn't enough to do the same as a microwave, right? But it is enough to vibrate those electrons in molecules that we talked about with the calcium gate channels. And since you are made of water, they are enough to vibrate those. And just like that, that's how the calcium gates open. So it doesn't have to do with the power, it has to do with the signal. It can be a small little power, but it gives the body the signal, and just like that, it messes up everything. And so this is why, science says, oh, you only gotta care about these ones because the power is very big. But no, since it's the signal that's already gonna cause these changes in the body. And so you need to understand we were designed through nature. As we talked about it, the Darwin's law of, natural selection, we developed ourselves through the Earth's magnetic field. And so, just like that, every biochemistry process in the body was designed for this field. And so, if you suddenly add something artificial, you change things up. you get energy loss, the protein folding doesn't work correctly, gene expression isn't the best, mitochondrial dysfunction, electron flow and proton flow is going to be messed up also, because when you change something that wasn't the way we were designed for, it's gonna come with artificial results. Just like you add artificial stuff, you get artificial results. Now, how do we measure? Okay, let's get into this to make sure we don't allow this to happen. So, you need to understand we have radio frequencies, which are gonna be RF radiation. That's what RF stands for, is radio frequencies. Then we have electric fields, and we have magnetic fields. So, as you can see here, you have the wavelengths of, for example, X-rays. It's going to be a lot shorter. And then you have the visible light right here. And inside the visible light, we have blue light right here. The thing that's coming from our screens. This is right here inside the visible light. Otherwise, we could not see the screens. And so when we talk about EMF, we are talking about light also. And you might be a lot concerned about, your phone, your computer, but just understand that the biggest disruptor in your system with this EMF is going to be blue light. Okay, that's the main target in here. Of course, we also got to get rid of the radio waves, but blue light is going to be included in here. Just to put into perspective this natural versus artificial and how does this affect your body, the Earth's field is around 300 to 700 mg. It is constant. It is a DC current, so it stays like that. While artificial EMF, it's 50 or 60 hertz, which is always alternating. It's a AC current, and this is giving a pulse to your body if you're around this. So if you live in Europe, it's gonna be the plug in your wall where you charge your phone. It's gonna be around 50 hertz, so like 50 times per second. That's alternating. And then if you live in Eastern Asia, in South America, also I believe you get 60 hertz. Like the plugs there are 60 hertz. And so this is why low power Wi-Fi is still dangerous, because it is a foreign language to your cells. Your cells don't speak that. They haven't developed with this language, and then you are literally forcing them to listen to that. For example, studies in Sweden, okay, they found that children living in homes with an average magnetic field of 2.0 mg or higher had trouble with leukemia, had the higher risk with this. And 2.0 mg with alternating current. Like with the Earths, it's like 300, 700, but since it is static, it doesn't have issues. Now with this right here, 2.0, it's a lot. Your goal should literally be zero, because that's how we have been developed with zero. And then magnetic fields at the 2.5 mg levels, they can interfere with the chaperone proteins that help your body proteins fold into the right shapes. And so misfold proteins can cause Alzheimer's, Parkinson, and the C disease. So this is why this stuff is damaging if it's artificial in your body. Now, water and DNA are diamagnetic. They try to align with magnetic fields. In an artificial field, your molecules are constantly twisting back and forth to maintain their orientation. This causes structural stress. In the book, Robert O. Becker's, like in his research in cross currents, he found that the cells in artificial fields can experience uncontrollable cell division, which is going to be to the disease. And so the frequency window, it isn't just about power, like watts, it's about the signal. Even a weak Wi-Fi signal can cause a non-linear effect, meaning a small signal can trigger a massive biological disaster if it hits the right frequency. It's like when you are trying to build a business. For years, you can make $0 and you are struggling, you're doing the work, but it's not working. But then out of nowhere, once you find what actually works, you scale up and the business hits 10K per month, 30K per month, 50K per month, and you just suddenly get all the results. You tried for 10 years, you got no results, and then suddenly the right thing hits, that video goes viral, you get the most amount of clients in 1 month, and bam, 50K per month. And people will look at you and see, oh, that guy, man, you got lucky or something, but they don't see the struggle that was behind. And it's the same thing kind of here, because you can have all these years without struggling, being exposed to EMFs, but then suddenly, you're exposed a bit more to it, or you get the right signal, you move to a country which has a bit more Wi-Fi, a cell phone tower next to you, and then bam, everything collapses. You get ton of acne, you get brain fog, your heart fails or something. It has that effect right there. I'd say it's a compounding effect. Then, for example, in airplanes, like the pilots are more exposed to having the C disease because they are exposed to so much EMF, man. And next to the cockpit, that's where the EMF is the highest. If you're gonna fly, you want to fly in the back of the plane where it is the lowest. And this is something we cover inside the community: is how to fly without damaging yourself. How to protect yourself against these EMFs while flying. And the language of EMF. Let's go through how this works. So magnetic fields are going to be measured in milligauss or microteslas. So we have 1 Gauss, which is 1000 milligauss, and then we have 1 Tesla, which is 10,000 Gauss. And then we have electric fields. They are measured in volts per meter. This represents the pressure between 2 points. Then we have radio frequency RF. This is going to be measured in watts per square meter. And so we have this inverse square law where, let's say that you are close to the router. If you move twice as far from the router, it reduces your exposure by 4x. So, you're next to the router, you are getting this amount of exposure, you go twice as far, you get 1/4 of the exposure in you. And so just like that, another thing, when getting a EMF meter, you must be aware that one axis meter is gonna be cheaper and it only measures in one direction. So you're holding the EMF meter, it only measures like forward. Then a 3-axis meter, this is the best, which is gonna be more expensive. It measures, forward, up, and down, which is the best. Because if you are getting the one axis, you then have to rotate in all directions, up, down, and then you have to see what was the highest measuring. Or you can, add all them together and then divide them by the amount of times you rotate it. You can also do that. Now, with this in mind, again, to recap, DC fields are direct current. So it says the same like a battery of a PC and the earth, that's DC, and AC is alternating current, like a power grid. As I said, in Europe it's 50 hertz, Western hemisphere it's 60 hertz. So human biology, the mitochondria, the brain waves operate on low frequencies, DC waves. And so forcing a 60 hertz, oscillation onto the body creates interference because it's not how our mitochondria operates. So to give this a good example, your laptop or keyboard is plugged into the wall. So it's, around 120 volts, 230 volts with this AC current. And so the field, because the device is metal or has internal wire, it creates an electric field that extends several inches or feet. The antenna, your body is a conductive bag of water. When you sit in that field, your body picks up the voltage. The measurement, if you use a body voltage meter, you will see your numbers jump from 10 millivolts, which is the natural, to 2000 millivolts or more just by touching a plugged in device. So to explain this better, the electricity travels outside the wires. You might think, oh, I plug in the plug in the wall and it's like the electricity is going inside. No, it goes outside. And by you just touching, for example, your PC, if it is plugged into the wall, you are literally getting electrocuted. Very small electrocution, because it's not, a big electrocution where you die. Of course, it's you don't even feel much. But if you are always exposed to it, you will feel, you know, a headache. That's a sign of a lot of small electrocutions. And just by you touching, for example, your mouse, you might not be touching the plug and the charger, but the mouse is plugged into the PC and the PC is plugged into the charger. So just by me touching the the mouse, I'm gonna be electrocuted. So strong currents, for example, stay at the skin surface and they mess up your skin signaling, which leads to acne. So just like that, by you having something plugged in, like your lamp, next to you while you're sleeping, that current that is traveling outside the wires is gonna interfere your body. It's gonna stay at the skin surface, which is gonna mess up skin signaling, is gonna lead to acne. And through measuring, you can actually understand how this works. Like I have modules in the community that show how to actually measure your environment. And you can see in real time by doing this test here. Like you are holding the meter with your body voltage in mind. So you're using a body voltage converter in the meter, and you can see like you touch your PC, it goes up, it shoots up, and that's literally electrocuting. So body voltage goes up, you get electrocuted at very small levels, and then you get brain fog, acne, gut issues, can't focus, because your mitochondria is just getting damaged and damaged and leading to more energy deficiency. And so, what is the science behind grounding? Because that's important. So, grounding, it drains the AC voltage of your body into the ground. And effect two, it provides negative electrons to neutralize free radicals in your body. So this is the power of grounding. Imagine you are getting electrocuted. If you are touching the ground, you're gonna get a lot less damage because the voltage is gonna dissipate into the ground. So just like that, you have an example. Like if you're wearing shoes, 300 volts is gonna affect you. But if you are touching the ground, it's gonna be released, and you actually aren't gonna get electrocuted. So this is one thing, and this is why we want to ground our charging devices. For example, you see people who are sleeping in their bedroom and they have this uh, wired wired copper string attached to the goddamn ground. That's because they're trying to get electrons. And that's another power of grounding. Is it that it literally gives you electrons? And what do you need to have good redox? Is electrons. So just like that, grounding in the morning, especially when the grass is wet, that's really good. Really, really good. That's gonna actually have more electrons if the grass is wet. So this is why grounding wins. And if you hear people telling you, oh, grounding, that's nonsense, they are wrong. Because it literally can help you to detox in a way from these EMFs, where you're going back to the baseline of not having voltage in your goddamn body being electrocuted. So just like that, this is everything you need to know about EMFs in terms of how does it affect your life. We went not so in depth. If you want to study more, you can study, for example, Roberts Becker and my man months if you want to understand more the science stuff behind this. But now you know, man, EMFs are completely damaging your body. They are giving artificial signals, and grounding is 100% one of the best things you can do to detox from these EMFs. If you live in an apartment where there's a lot of Wi-Fi routers everywhere, you have these EMF addicts next to you on the bus, where they're always on the phone, they have their artificial freaking AirPods, where they're blasting their head with EMF. Maybe you live in a small village, and there's even a cell phone tower next to you, like I personally do, man. 300 meters from me, there's a cell phone tower. So no wonder I always have acid reflux, which is literally a key sign of EMF damage. How do we fight this, man? What do we do? It seems kind of impossible, but no, it's not. So just like that, you need to understand the biggest problem of EMF is that it will steal electrons from your body. So you need to make sure you have a steady supply. And that comes from these habits right here. Cold exposure, because as we have talked, this helps your mitochondria to produce light, which is really good for redox. Then we have DHA, of course, really good for redox. You know, you gotta eat your high quality, fresh, local fish. Eat your sardines, man, which are always wild caught. Then drink lots of water, especially deuterium depleted water, because since you're exposed to a lot of EMF, your mitochondria might not be producing this water deuterium depleted, so you want to drink that. And then grounding and sunlight. That's of course great to get electrons. You're literally getting energy from these habits, man, without having to digest food. That's how crazy it is. And fundamentally, all of them increase your redox, which is gonna help you to not get as much damage from EMF. This is why we have, people who go to bars at nights, drink alcohol, are under artificial light, blasting AirPods in their head, EMF everywhere, and they don't seem to have any issues. They don't have acne, they don't have brain fog, low energy, they just seem fine. What's wrong here? Like me and you, we are obsessed about being healthy, but the tiny bit of EMF or a little bit of junk food seems to destroy us completely, or some artificial light. What's going on here? It's simply because they have a higher redox, so they are able to have more resistance to this stuff. Now, this can come from genetics, a bit of luck in there, or maybe from past habits. Or to be honest, they probably are suffering, they just aren't aware they are suffering because they have never lived a life of not suffering. They think that brain fog is always a normal thing because maybe they aren't even aware of brain fog because if they've always lived that, they don't know. So that's one thing. You need to you need to actually be grateful that you are getting a bit damage from this, because if you weren't, you would not be watching this video right now. You would not be searching on how to be healthier. So it's actually a good thing that we get affected easily, because now we actually are able to know this is bad, remove, and thrive even more. And as I said, it's a compounding effect, man. It might be a few months of no results, and you're doing everything right, and then suddenly you shoot up like a rocket, like a spaceship, and you get to the moon. You get to your destination while everybody is down below. So you gotta stay resilient on this path, and it's actually easy to get rid of EMF. Okay, that's the reason why I'm giving you this motivational speech. It's because a lot of people quit here. A lot of people think, this is too much, it doesn't matter, who cares? But no, man, this matters a lot. Like, this genuinely matters a lot. And I've seen people, like, I've seen clients one on one that get acne from just having something plugged in next to them as they are sleeping. So, this is very important. Now, here's the number one factor to getting rid of EMF is measuring it. If you do not measure it, you will never know if you are getting blessed by it or not. You need to measure, man. You might say, "Oh, what do I do in this scenario? Have you measured? Have you measured?" If you haven't measured, then how can I help you in a way? So measuring radio frequency. This is the best EMF meter for radio frequency, which is going to be emitted by our phones, PC, cell phone towers. So just like that, this is the Safe and Sound Pro 2. All the links are going to be below where you can understand more about this stuff and get them. So Safe and Sound Pro 2, this is going to be the best one. And then the budget one is going to be the Safe and Sound Classic 3, which is cheaper, but it's like this. It's not so accurate. Like here, you can hear the radio frequency, and you can also see like if it's slight, moderate, high, extreme, and you can see the peak readings. This is the best one, okay? This is the best one for radio frequency. If you had to get only one, like you don't have a lot of money, this is the one. Then magnetic and electric fields, this is the best one. And you need to get all of them to get all the measurings. This one won't be measuring the electric fields as accurate at least. So the Safe and Sound EM3, this right here comes with a grounding meter. So if you are grounded in for example the grass, you then touch with your hand, this is gonna take into account. It's probably gonna be a 0. Then you suddenly touch, your PC, it shoots up, and you're able to understand these readings right here. Then we have an electrical meter. This is gonna be the best one, the 5G eSmog Spine, but you don't necessarily need to get this one at all. Like the best one you need is this one, and you can get this one right here to hear the electromagnetic waves. Okay, so you can hear them. This one is gonna give more like precise, accurate with numbers, but it's not really needed since you already have this one here. Personally, this is the best kit that I found. We have the Safe and Sound Pro 2, we have the EM3 and this radio. This is 1,000 bucks right here. This is such a great investment. You might think 1,000 bucks this is a lot, but it's not, because you're going to be using this for the rest of your life, literally. Where when you get a house, do you want to get a house randomly and you then suddenly figure out, oh my god, I'm getting blasted by EMF all day and it's making me dumber, giving me acid reflux, giving me brain fog? Well, that can be avoided by you simply having these meters and doing the readings. And just like that, you can stop your children that you're going to have or that you have from growing on a place where it's getting blasted by EMFs. So this is such a great investment. And not only that, but this comes down to like pennies a day. If you use this for 50 years in your entire life, 50 years divided, 1,000 bucks divided by 50 years, that's like pennies a day, man. So who the hell cares? And if you really don't have the money, the best budget which measures the radio, the electric, and the magnetic, is this tri-field right here. This is like 200 bucks, but it isn't gonna be as accurate. Okay, just have that in mind. And so if you're gonna buy a house, you want the more accurate readings. These ones right here. You don't want to go off this one, but this one will definitely work on a day-to-day, to see where in your house, like, oh, is my room high EMF? Okay, maybe I should go downstairs. That's lower EMF. So I should work in there instead of my room. Stuff like that. So here are some other more advanced EMF meters. This is like advanced stuff. We have the NFA 1000, which is like 2,500 bucks. This will give you gigahertz measurings, and there are even like really advanced military EMF meters, which are kind of like banned because the military doesn't want you to be able to read their stuff, where it messes up with the satellites and all that stuff. They don't want you to know it. So this is gonna be even more advanced readings. Then you have the Safe and Sound Pro wave meter, which is a more advanced meter than the Safe and Sound Pro 2, because this one right here can read the 5G readings. For example, in a airport or big city, you can measure the big numbers. So if you have the curiosity for that, like in an airport, you travel a lot, this one can really help. Then you have the Geiger counter, which measures ionizing information. And then you have spectrometers, which are able to measure light. They're able to convert light into a number. So if you are, on your PC, you put the blue light filter on, you can measure if it's actually working or not. Or if you have some blue light blockers, you can measure if it's blocking the blue light or not. Or the windows of your car, is it blocking the artificial light or the sun? You can actually do those measurings with a spectrophotometer. Now let's talk about how to have zero EMF readings so you can do your work and build your business without getting blasted and destroying your health, getting acne, brain fog, none of that. So first of all, you need to stay away from the router. Not only this thing right here, but also your phone, which is emitting EMF, it is a router, and cell phone towers. It's also a router. With your phone, you want to always have it on airplane mode. This brings the readings to 0, 0.2, which is great. So always on airplane mode, no Wi-Fi on, no Bluetooth, no cellular data. You only use cellular data on really big emergencies. Like if you need to call an Uber or you need to, call 911. Yes, you should be using it. Otherwise, you don't. Okay, you don't. If you want to watch a YouTube video, you download it before and then on your trip you watch the YouTube video. You don't, or the music. You don't need cellular data. That's going to be emitting a lot of EMF into you. It's really damaging. And eventually you're going to get fried. Then you need to understand this router right here is not the Wi-Fi and internet are not the same thing. And so this router right here protects you from people entering your internet and it emits Wi-Fi, which allows you to log into the internet without a wire. So you can log in wireless, exactly. And so with this in mind, what you can do is turn off the Wi-Fi in your router and use a Ethernet cable to access internet with no RF. That's what it is. You turn off the Wi-Fi because you don't need the wireless, radiation going on. You just use the Ethernet cable which has all your PC has it. You log into the PC, you get access to the internet with no RF. That's what it is. And then to charge your computer, you want to use a power bank. So you don't have that voltage going onto the PC and then you touch the PC and the voltage is going into your body and you're getting electrocuted. You use a power bank and you always have everything on airplane mode with the Wi-Fi on. That's it. The Bluetooth is always off. Even if you're on your car and you're changing the radio station, that is going to be emitting you a lot of EMF since it's the car is trying to connect to all the cell phone towers. Or when you're with your Bluetooth on, it's the same thing. Or cellular data. As you're riding in your car, like the phone is just trying to log into the cell phone tower, then the next cell phone tower, and it's just blasting you right there. Then another system you need to use is Ethernet to fiber cord cable. So as you can see, this system where you have the Ethernet going in into this converter that turns it to the fiber cord cable, which doesn't have EMF, and then it has a power bank charging this converter. So what you need to get essentially is just the converter to Ethernet to the fiber cord and then the fiber cords. So to put this into a drawing so you understand, you have the power grid right here, the AC that's going into the router. Then with the router you put into this switch right here. You then have a cord that is going to be grounded outside. You're going to be grounding the system. And then you have the fiber cord going into your PC. And just like this, you can charge your devices. Since it is grounded, it's not going to be electrocuting you, and then everything is fine with this system right here. So this is the best optimized outdoor work setup. To give you an example, so first of all, you have a MacBook, which is also actually the best in terms of flickering. It has the less flickering and the less EMF emission. It's actually one of the best laptops for that, the MacBook Air. Then you have the power bank, which is charging the PC. You have no AC main voltage, no, you have a DC power bank. You have fiber connection for Ethernet, no Wi-Fi here. You have a wood chair. You have access to grass below you for grounding. You have sunlight all day. The only thing that's missing here is a EMF, low EMF keyboard and a low EMF mouse. And that's it. But just like that, this is the perfect setup. It's not hard, man. Just you just charge your PC using the system right here while you're asleep, or if you can like electrocute yourself for like 10 seconds while you're putting the PC, and then you get away, and then the PC is charged up. You just go outside and you work. If you have battery issues in your PC, that's when you need to really create a system to make sure you can work while it's charging. So just like that, this is a really great example. Now, other ways to block EMF, to make sure you have a EMF safe house. If you have children, this is very important. So EMF blocking codes, man. We have these great silver fiber. We have stainless steel, copper, nickel, aluminum. These are the best fabrics that block EMF, especially silver fiber. And so you want to have clothing that is made out of this, or curtains that are made out of this, or bed sheets. Everything should be made out of this, really. For example, made of silver mesh fabric, which is often called the Swiss shield. So go search up and Swiss shield, and you'll find some good materials to use in your house. Then conductive materials that don't absorb RF. So this is going to reflect the RF and dissipate it. So it's not going to be affecting you. We have aluminum, which is conductive. It is high frequency RF, blocks this high frequency RF, reflects and blocks it. And then we have aluminum and copper, which doesn't have that magnetic mitigation. So aluminum only reflects and blocks high frequency RF, doesn't do magnetic. But mu metal doesn't necessarily attack low frequency magnetic. No, it deflects 99% of magnetic mitigation. So aluminum is for RF radiation, and mu metal is for magnetic mitigation. That's what it is. And so you want to use these materials around routers or signal sources to limit their spread. So around sleeping areas, walls, around shielding fabric. Like if you know there's this window which is turned to a cell phone tower, that's where you want to put these materials in there, where it's gonna be shielding you. You want to be precise with this. Or if you have like a one plug that you use a lot, and you that one is for like all the PC stuff, you want to put aluminum around it so that it doesn't go into your direction. It's only in that specific area. Then transparent conductive oxides. This is for your windows, where you apply it. It allows 80% of visible light through, but reflects 99% of microwave radiation. It's what it used in cockpits of fighters jets to protect pilots from the radiation. It is literally invisible shielding. This is very important in your house if you live close to cell phone towers. Then painting in your walls, carbon or graphite-based conductive coating. You apply it in your walls like a primer. Once it's dry, it forms a continuous conductive layers that reflects radio frequency signals from cell phone towers and Wi-Fi. The grounding requirement for the paint to protect against low frequency electric fields from house wiring. It must be grounded by an electrician using a copper grounding strap connected to the house electrical ground. If you shield a room with paint or with this paint right here, but there's Wi-Fi or a cell phone inside with you, the waves will bounce in the walls and will trap you with the radiation inside. So this is a really good advanced stuff where you paint your walls with this, which is gonna stop EMF entering your house. But if you have Wi-Fi inside, it's gonna literally trap the Wi-Fi inside your house. So that's an issue. You don't want that, and you need to ground the paint, the walls with these, copper wires. Okay, so this is really advanced. I'm definitely gonna do this once I get a house, 100%. Then sleep EMF free. The greatest tactics to sleep EMF free, because if you have EMF while you're sleeping, that's the worst. It's literally giving you signs and making your body do processes that you should be doing during the day, but you're doing them at night. So you want to have all your devices on airplane mode, nothing plugged into the walls, at least next to you, none of this. You can buy a demand switch, which is like when all your lights are off in your room, this instantly turns the power off inside your room. So even if you have something charged up in the wall, it's not actually working. That's good because it eliminates the 60 hertz electric fields that usually radiates from the wires inside your bedroom walls while you sleep without you having to manually flip the breakers. Then you can buy a mosquito net like this and you put the materials which I mentioned before, like these ones right here, the Swiss shield, and just like that you have a goddamn EMF proof bed shield right here. This is really good. And really advanced is a Helmholtz coil. Right here, this is this frame that you can build around your house, or you can have just this thing right here, like next to your PC, and will also do the job inside your room. This is something used by NASA, SpaceX, and high-end medical labs to create clean environments for sensitive equipment that would otherwise be blinded by Earth's magnetic field or local power grids. So what does this do? This detects with high-speed sensors, it detects, any magnetic fields in the room. Then it calculates a opposite field of the one that's coming in and neutralizes it. So it does a counteraction right there. It sends a precise electrical current that works through these copper coils, and just like that, it cancels out the magnetic field that was coming in and the electric field also. So just like that, it creates this zero field zone. So this is basically a smart computer that receives electric, the electric field, the current, and then it does the opposite field and it cancels it out. That's what the Ampere's law is. Then I decided to add this in, which, to be honest with you, I'm not sure if this is actually real or not, if it works, but it is quantum tech. So this claims to change the quality of your energy rather than the quantity. So it said that it turns, bad energy, EMF, into good quality energy. I'm not sure, but essentially it's these things right here. You can get more into this, you can study it if you want. And then, last thing to mention, which I'm also not so sure, but I've seen people mitigating EMF while working, in their PC through this. So they use a USB extension cord of like 5 meters, where it's very far away from them, and then they use this Wi-Fi adapter. And so they have the Wi-Fi connected to this far away from them, and just like that, the Wi-Fi isn't going to be next to them affecting them, and they can have the router away from them also. So just like that, is another technique to make sure you're away from the router. If you have any questions on how to apply this in your specific situation, if you have a cell phone tower next to you, you have parents using Wi-Fi next to you, don't know what to do, then text me on WhatsApp. Let's book a call and I'll help you to sort this out in real time. Make sure you have 0 EMF readings in where you work.
Hey guy, what's up, brother? I wanted to thank you so much because before I actually started working with you, I used to struggle with acne for like 2 to 3 years. I would try to go to the dermatologist. I would try to quit fat. I would try so many stuff that I would see on social media. I would do all the research in the world, and I would still wouldn't be able to have a clear acne like I have now. Like, I'm not perfect, but I've gotten so much better because of the knowledge that I acquired from getting on call one-on-one with you. You actually made me a plan based on my lifestyle. You know, I travel a lot, so sometimes it's hard for me to be on a specific diet of food, and you've actually helped me to, you know, feel more confident because, bro, my acne before back then was terrible. Yeah, you can see a photo, and nowadays I'm here in Miami. I'm able to go to dinners with entrepreneurs. I'm able to network with high-level people who make 8 figures a year. I'm here in Miami. I'm able to go to dinners with entrepreneurs. I'm able to network with high-level people who make 8 figures a year. And I feel very confident to do that because I've been able to improve my skin, improve my health, and I'm so grateful because I wouldn't have been able to know what I know before actually getting in contact with you. All the things that people say on social media nowadays, it didn't work for me until I actually started talking to you and you guided me through the right path. So I wanted to thank you so much, brother. You gave me a lot of results and it's impacted my personal and business and professional life. Thank you.
My name is Raul and I'm 20 years old. When I started training 6 months ago, I didn't stick with it for long because I got lack of motivation. I stopped going to the gym until I came across Dewey on Instagram. I sent him a message and he completely changed my life. He gave me training schedules, nutrition tips, and he boosted my confidence. And that in only 6 months. I've been consistent and motivated for 6 months right now, and it has completely changed my life. Thank you really much.
It's time, my friend. You now have the information needed to fix your mitochondria and achieve clear skin, high energy, good digestion, and sharp brain. But here's the thing, information alone will not save you. You must have information and implementation. And so if you want one-on-one help to make sure that you have a structure to just follow through, and I'll keep you accountable to it every single day, making sure that you are following it. So just like that, the results are undeniable to appear because you're simply following the right steps. It's cause and effect. It's that simple. If you want that one-on-one help, that structure, then book a call in the description and we'll make sure you get those results, my man. So you can thrive, have a jacked physique, and feel proud of yourself every day, man. Fulfilling your highest purpose. Because that's what we're here for, man. We're not here to struggle and feel sorry about ourselves, about the way we feel, about the way we look. We're here to thrive and focus on higher things, man, on our fullest purpose. So book a call in the description, my man, and we will sort this stuff out. Let's go, man. See you in the next one.